This podcast is created for adult audiences only and contains content that may be alarming to some viewers. Listener discretion is advised. Any badass views or opinions about to hear are those of the hosts and do not represent those of the people, institutions, or organizations that the podcast may or may not be associated with. So just don't be a dick. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Girls Gone Weird.
Hey everyone, welcome to Girls Gone Weird. I am Nicole.
And this is Denny.
And welcome back.
Welcome back.
I hope you joined us for our big return at the beginning of October. That was fun. We were both feeling it, the effects of the ridiculous amount of shots we took all the way into our bingo shift, which I'm surprised we made it through.
I can't believe we did. And then that night, I threw up more than I've thrown up in a very, very long time. And it was like a long time between when we drank and then took those shots. Remember? And I was like, what's going on? I had COVID.
I had COVID, yeah.
So I was doing that while COVID.
I know.
Which is impressive, guys.
It is impressive. And I'm impressed that I didn't get COVID.
No, that's great.
And I was so nervous too because, as I mentioned before, I had to fly to Alabama. And I had my procedure done again where so I can burp again. And I'm burping already.
Yay!
So you guys are going to maybe hear some little burps, maybe some big burps.
Oh my gosh, fastest ailment episode ever.
Right?
We did it. I think it was the quickest we got into ailments.
That was really quick.
And just before we go on, because we want to go on, this is going to be a bigger episode. So if you are here, if this is your first episode, great. Welcome with us. We are so excited to have you. We are glad you are joining us. If you're here just for the topic, you can totally look at the notes, skip ahead in our Facebook, socials, right even on whatever you're listening to right now. It will have exactly where to start if you're coming in for this topic. Otherwise, just hang out with us.
Yeah.
But welcome back to our old listeners.
Welcome back.
Who are here for our ailments at the beginning.
Here for every single time something's wrong with me.
Yes, you got to hear
when
it.
we start recording.
So yeah, Nicole went back to Alabama.
I did. I was there for a week. I had my procedure done. It's working. It's this recovery second time around is a little more difficult than the first. It's giving me more problems. Lots of regurgitating. Lots of puke burps.
She has been doing a lot of nasty noises.
Weird swallowing. So, So you might get a little taste to that in this episode.
And
but
you
honestly,
might hear it because it sounds like it's very tasty.
It sounds, they're coming from the depths of below.
Which are the burps that I hate the most from people to do around me. I'm just like, ugh. It makes
It's pretty gross.
It's
Mine
gross.
are all really like squelchy wet right now too.
They're very
It's
squelchy.
like
But I'm happy for
coffee.
you though at
It's
the same time.
disgusting.
So
yeah, it's let's hope it sticks.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not it's fine. I mean, we're back. I'm here. It was a quick trip. I'm glad to be back, and
I'm glad you're back too. I feel like you were gone forever. Like I know that we have lived apart for so long, but for some reason, like you being gone, like me and my husband were both like, Nicole's, I feel like she's been gone like a month.
it was like 7 days.
Yeah, like she's been gone a month. We were very sad and we missed you
Yeah.
a lot. And like I've been trying not to ask anything because I know we want to talk about things when you get back. So I'm like really like, no, I can't talk to her.
I know. So yeah, you'll have to remind me what you wanted to ask me because my brain is fog.
Did you actually get to meet up with your old job? I know you were talking about wanting to go and maybe work a day.
Yes.
And say hi to everybody.
I did. I said hi to my old job and I popped in. I spent like a half a day there. My boss wasn't there, so like he didn't pay me for it, but I ended up staying and just like helping them work and hanging out for like 5 hours. So that was really fun. They were super excited to see me. I didn't tell anybody. So when I walked in, their like jaws were on the floor. It was hilarious.
Did they think like, oh my God, she had to move back already?
Yeah.
They're
Get
like, out of here.
Oh, you sure you want to go back? But I found out that they started doing this like, I don't think I told you this. Every first Thursday of the month, they're starting to do movie nights together as a team in the
Oh,
funeral home, and they order food. And I'm like,
that sucks.
what? I want to go so bad.
It'll be super fun to do like movie
Yeah.
night in a funeral home.
Totally. And the first
Good
movie they
food.
watched, Seven. What's in the box? I know. And there were people there that like had never seen it. Like one of our funeral directors is like in his late 70s, and
of the
he was
best
like
movies ever.
traumatized, I heard. by the movie.
R.I.P. to Kevin Spacey. We always say R.I.P. because we're
R.I.P..
pretending he's dead.
Yeah, pretending is dead.
Oh,
Love the
such
art,
a
not the
great-
artist.
Such a great movie.
It's so good. It's so good. And everybody was on edge watching a spooky movie in the funeral home. Like they were telling me, one of my coworkers, like they purposefully scared him like multiple times, like hiding around corners when he went to the bathroom. It's like, oh, I want to go.
It's just gore, which it has everything. It has gore, which I love in a horror movie.
Suspense.
Thriller.
Mhm.
Of course, Kevin Spacey.
Brad Pitt.
It's just
prime
hot.
Brad Pitt.
Oh, good Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Very good, sexy Brad Pitt.
Yep.
He's always been sexy. He's always had a sexiness to him.
Yeah.
But if we had to talk about like best Brad Pitt, I would say because that was the time of like that, and then Fight Club. You know, it was good Brad Pitt.
It was.
But
It was prime.
Yeah, great movie.
It was so good. So yeah, they started doing that, which I'm going to go ahead and take credit for, because we had a big going away party for myself before I left. And everybody was like, this was so fun. Like, it sucks that Nicole's leaving, but like, we should do this more often. My boss was like, yeah, let's try to do it regularly. And then they did. They came up with their own things. I was like, oh, I was the catalyst.
You are.
So you're welcome.
You're the catalyst for fun.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll do it at these homes here. Maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe you'll find a
Maybe.
little group of people that you like.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It could be. And I don't remember if I mentioned this, but I did end up revealing to one coworker before I left that I have this podcast.
Oh, you did.
I did.
You actually revealed it.
I revealed it. I trust her, even
Yeah.
though it's so funny, because she will eventually probably listen to this episode.
And
because
she's mentioned,
she
but obviously
started.
you never do names, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll just call her C.
Mhm.
So hi, C. But it's so funny because she used to work there, and then she did not work there for a while, maybe a couple of years, and then she came back like 2 weeks before I left.
Ooh.
So I had heard all about her, and then all of a sudden she was back, and I was like, oh my God, she's so cool. She is like, why am I leaving just now when I'm just meeting her? Like, it's such a bummer. So we only technically knew each other for 2 weeks, but we got like really close really fast, and we're friends. And I trusted her. She's the kind of person that I'm like, I feel like she would listen to the podcast even if I was not involved. So I was like, all right, I'm going to tell you a little
Yeah,
secret
see,
here.
that's different. Yeah, there's some people, like, I'm super open to anyone listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that it's more people that I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know
why.
why. I don't know why. It's our fun little secret.
It is. If I can find out someone's like into things like I do, then I tell them.
Yeah. You're like, well, guess what?
Guess what?
I got a trick up my sleeve. Yeah. So that was really fun. And yeah, that's pretty much, that was Alabama. Hung out with my sister-in-law, shout out. We just hung around and got a little stony baloney and watched movies. And
Oh, that's
so
fun.
she made me watch all the previous Strangers movies before we went to go see the new one in the theater, because I hadn't seen any of them.
I have not seen any of them.
You guys, number one fear, aside from mimics, realistic fear, home invasions. Fucking
Yes.
terrified.
It's bad.
And this is all this movie is about. So I was like, I think that's why I never watched it in the first place. But it's not that bad. I didn't get too concerned about my own safety. So
I got concerned even because I am so scared of home invasions too. Right when we were starting the podcast, I'm like, Nicole just came in. I better go check the doors locked. We're going to be sitting here podcasting and
we're not going to know.
have a big burly Underwoodian creeper from a farm come and take us to
another farm
in a barn. That's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of being like put into like one of these old country barns out here, and I'm never going to be found.
Oh yeah, just chained up.
Yeah, just chained up
In
and
your
like,
underwear?
repeatedly.
You don't want to
tortured.
wear underwear, but
No. Yeah, exactly. I'm just like waiting for it.
you're asking for it.
I'm asking. It's one of my number one fears because that happened to someone around here.
Yeah.
It did. Did I
What?
tell anyone on the podcast this? It was really the only we talked about in the one podcast about our local things about that little boy that passed.
Yeah, local lore.
But we don't really have too much crazy things happen around here. But I don't know how many years ago, and I don't know the names, which is good. I don't want to share the names anyway. A local woman with her kids were in her house, and the doors just when I locked, and some guy came in, took her, just her, and like took her away. Luckily, one of the kids, they smart and taught her young kids how to dial 911.
Yeah.
Called. They ended up finding her, I think, like the next day, and she was in someone's like barn, repeatedly like having terrible things done to her. Luckily, her kids are very, very brave little kids. But could you imagine how scared they were?
Oh my God.
Because they were like younger than Ella. I know they were like 4, really young. And again, if you're the person or sharing the story wrong, you can tell me if you want me to change anything. Because I do want to tell it correctly if I said anything wrong. But that's what.
Yeah. That's terrifying.
It's terrifying. And it happened around here.
Thank you for telling me that.
You're welcome.
New fear unlocked.
Yeah, because I'm not scared in the cities. Like, my husband's scared. I'm like, I can walk down any street in the cities, no matter what time of day. And for some reason, I feel okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm weird. Like, I don't care about noises or anything like that from the cities. But the country, nah, thanks.
No. That reminds me, I have to tell you about something that happened when I was in the city this weekend. So I flew into the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport.
Before we start, I got to stop you. You know why you're digging in here? So I gave Nicole a bowl, and there's tons of dog hair in it.
I'm gonna smoke a bunch of dog hair.
And I saw her peeling it up.
one.
Because I dropped my the stuff.
Yeah. Dropped it on
my
the floor.
grinder on the floor right at the bottom of the stairs. So I'm sorry for and you can edit this out. I'm sorry for your.
I know, I'm packing a bowl while I'm talking about this.
All right, continue.
My allergies are just going to go like, just inhale the dog. Okay, I'm going to take this hit.
I know. Oh, I didn't even think about your allergies. Oh, shit. I can get you. I have clean stuff. Are you going to be okay?
I did it. I went in.
I just gave someone with terrible animal allergies like a bowl to breathe into their lungs
with
full
cat
of
hair,
dog
hair, and pig hair.
Yeah, so whatever hair is at the bottom of my
probably
stairs.
Some chicken feathers.
Yeah. So good luck.
So I flew into Minneapolis from Atlanta on what was it? I don't know, Friday or something. And one of my best friends, Mark, picked me up. Hi, Mark. And I stayed. Oh my God! I just had a cat move my microphone. Hello, cat. Okay, so I stayed with Mark, and so he lives in North Minneapolis. It's busy. It's like right off of 94, like a block off 94. So it's a busy area, maybe 2 or 3 blocks, but I digress. So we're watching a movie, and I think it's nighttime, and he gets a knock at his door. And him and I are both completely stoned out of our minds at this point. We're just totally baked. And I look at him, I'm like, you expecting somebody? Because he has a lot of company every now and then. You know, a lot of friends stop by, and he looked at me and he's just like, no. And I was like, okay. And it took him a minute to like get up to like go. He looked really concerned. I was like, why is he so concerned right now? And he's like, I'm scared of strangers. I was like, okay, well, see who it is. So he opens the door, and this girl goes, is Letitia home? Mm-hmm. And instead of Mark saying, I think you have the wrong house, he just goes, no. And then she walked away and left and closed the door.
Just no.
And I was like, why did you tell her she had the wrong house? That's what I said. I said, she's going to come back and be like, is she home now? No, Letitia does not live here.
No.
And I just kept thinking I kept cracking up the whole night. Like there'd be nothing happening. And I'd look at him and I'd just start busting out. I'm like, no. It was funny. But yeah, that was she wasn't a home invasion person, but that was that's why for some reason I'm more comfortable in the cities, because the people that do knock on my door, it just seems a lot less they're going to come and take me. Yeah. Yeah. It's usually just trying to see if Letitia's home. Is Letitia home?
Is Letitia home?
Just tell me if she lives here. Yeah. Does Letitia live here?
I would love if she's listening to this podcast. Like we're calling you out. Be like, are you out there? She's not living there. This gets to you.
Letitia. We need Letitia to reach out to her friends and let them know.
Let them know. She moved addresses.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really funny. But yeah, what else is new? I feel like my voice is different. And I heard that that's like a side effect and it could be permanent. But maybe it's just because I have allergies.
It could be.
I feel like
breathe in a whole bunch of animals into your lungs.
I am slightly congested. I feel like it's not usually when my voice is at this decibel, it's a little bit more sultry. Right now, it just feels like crackly and not sexy.
It could be sexy. I don't know. I can barely hear.
You can't hear anything. We're just a mess over here. We'll keep those ears popped, baby girl.
I know, man. I live in America, lost my insurance, so I'm not going to spend $300 just to walk in the door and probably get the medication to fix this. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to ride this out. I can't hear, guys. Barely. I'm waiting for that day where it's just like, I'm waiting.
You can hear the word. You can hear the worms wiggling under the earth.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. Yeah. I'm holding it off. Hopefully that I'm not getting this infection that's going into my brain. But that's okay. That's okay. How I die. That's fine.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Look at us. Look at us. America.
I think the only other thing that I can think of that I'd like to just mention before we get into everything here is because we are recording on October 14th and it is Ryan's birthday today.
Oh, it is. Happy birthday, Ryan.
Birthday, Ryan. And most of our regular listeners know he was my best friend and he died in 2018 when I was pregnant with Violet. And he is a topic of discussion through this podcast. So if you are just tuning in for the first time, that's who Ryan is. So it's, it can be a rough day every year, birthdays and anniversaries of his death and stuff like that. But it was really neat because just a couple days ago, I got a package in the mail from his ex-fiance, one of my best friends, and I opened it up and it was some of his things that I got. So I got some of his stuff and I've gathered some of his things through the years as she slowly starts to kind of let go. And it was just really fun to get some of his stuff just right before his birthday.
Can you share?
I can share, yeah. So he made his own cereal bowl. Like he threw the Padre and like glazed it and everything. So I have his cereal bowl.
I love that.
I know.
That's
and
great.
The way he painted it almost looks like a child. So Violet's like, oh my God, I love that cereal bowl.
I would keep it away from your child though, because she breaks everything.
She breaks everything. Yeah. She's like, can it be my cereal bowl now? And I was like, No,
her daughter, she's the breaker and the spiller.
Breaks and spills.
Yep.
So no, you cannot. But he was a huge. I know this is funny to say, like he was a cereal fan. Like everybody loves cereal.
Well,
but
because didn't he have what was his cereal?
He wanted to
his band or whatever.
No, he wanted to start a podcast.
Oh yeah,
called "Why So
Cereal."
Cereal. Why so cereal?
So I love that you got a cereal bowl.
It was about cereal. Yeah, a podcast about cereal. It sounds so fucking boring, but he would have made it the best podcast you've ever heard. So I got his cereal bowl and I got a pair of his pants, which obviously do not fit me, but they're really cute. I'm gonna save them for Violet when she's older because they're skinnies, like she can fit in these boy jeans. And I got two of his like pull on like button up shirts, and I got, it's hiding under my hoodie over there now, but I got his like infamous bomber jacket. That's like when you think of Ryan, when I think of Ryan, he's wearing this jacket. He's wearing it to my jewelry, like the show that you went to when you were modeling for my jewelry.
Can I guess what it is? Because I have a feeling. Is it green? It's like dark green. Yeah. Like, okay.
Yeah, yep, it's like a dark green bomber.
I think I've seen him a lot of pictures.
Yeah. So I got that. And I immediately I only saw the corner of the color and I knew exactly what it was immediately. I was like, oh my God, it's the bomber. Like, I have it. So I wore it over here today. I'm just going to wear it because, why not?
Yeah.
And I opened up the pocket and there was like little gum wrapper inside. And I was like, I'm going to keep this gum wrapper forever.
I love that Kayla didn't clean and do all that.
I know.
It's perfect.
She would never. So it was really fun to do that. So I wore his bomber over here today. And I didn't get this today. This was from another package, but I'm wearing his shirt. It's a super secret pizza club shirt. I have a picture of him wearing that too. So
I was going to ask about your shirt. It is cute.
Super Secret Pizza Club. Yep. So I'm decked out with Ryan stuff. Oh, and look at that. I have my one hand, like my hobo glove on today because my eczema on my hand. So it looks like I have my MJ fingerless glove. And he was obsessed with Michael Jackson.
Well, yeah, Michael Jackson's the best.
He's the best. But he was like obsessed.
Good.
He could moonwalk like nobody's business.
Did he cry as much as I did on his day of death?
He did.
It was a bad day. It's the only celebrity I actually had to take a day off work. It's terrible.
It was bad. That was the only time I ever saw my ex-boyfriend cry. I think I mentioned that.
Yeah.
It's when Michael Jackson died.
Well, the radio didn't help. Like the whole radio home, it was like a lot of like Michael Jackson. I'll be there.
The world wept. It was the day the world wept.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and dedicate this episode to Ryan.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ryan.
And yeah, so that was fun. It's emotional. But I'm just going to go smoke some more of this dog hair and I'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be
fine.
soon.
I'll be fine. But this is a Dinny-centric episode today. She's surprising me.
Yes, I'm surprising. We have not had a big episode in a long time. Obviously, we had a break too, so that didn't help.
Yeah.
One that I really went deep into. And this is a topic I've been talking about pretty much through like our last few, at least, episodes that I have been working on and studying and messing with. Today, we are doing the history of the Old and the New Testaments of the Bible.
Oh, fuck.
So I'm making you all historians, and it's going to be very fun. Now, why did I want to do this? Well, because of the Pope episode. I think that was so much fun to do and just go through the whole entire history and learn how fucking weird and cool, the history of religion really is.
So sit back. This is going to be a 12-hour episode.
It might be. And also what's going on in the world today. Like, we're hearing a lot of things about, well, in America, we're dealing with, theology going really into our government.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of wars, a lot of it over what's in the Bible and Israel and Palestine and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, we have to go into the history of this because theology of the Bible really connects to absolutely everything that we know in at least written print.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is going to be so much fun. So I'm really excited.
For some reason, I did not guess that. I didn't guess that.
I know.
So I'm excited. I'm sure if we lost, there could be some people that are like, oh my God, the Bible, we lost a couple people because people are like, fuck the Bible and fuck Jesus.
No, this is not going to be like that. This is for everyone. I'm saying this podcast, it doesn't matter if you're like us, I'm very agnostic. I'm very spiritual and open-minded, but I read the Bible and I look at it like just a fun history book, if anything.
Yeah.
But if you're a Christian, if you're Muslim, whatever you believe in, if you're Jewish, I still think you're going to enjoy this episode, especially if you're here, because this is about weird history. And again, I'm just a podcaster. I'm not a historian. I'm just fascinated with history and the weird stories within our old books, pretty much. I've been reading the Old Testament a lot recently. I've been doing a lot of audio and video books, like listening to it in the background when I'm sleeping. So I'm just sharing the interesting stories. And if you're into that, this is the perfect place. If you're a dick and think you can't handle that, and you think you're going to get offensive, then just don't, go to a different episode.
Yeah. And I think anybody that would be just like random pop-in, not even a random pop-in for the Bible, but just a random pop-in that they're like, I'm going to try this episode for the first time now. But guess what? It's probably going to be great because I feel like that's probably what people may have thought initially about the Pope episode. They're like, oh, the Pope, it sounds like it's going to be boring. It's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, and it's one of usually
so
a top rated.
Good.
Yeah, it's a good episode because it's just fun.
It's
fun to
wild.
hear. Because usually people that are in those high positions are fucking wild.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wacky. It's the
fun.
Bible.
Exactly. And it's the history just of the Bible, which has to do with almost every religion that's out there, unless you are one that's a little bit more hidden or maybe faith-based later on. But even those ones today, they're all connected to this one book. So let's get into it because it's going to be so much fun. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So we are starting over 3,000 years ago, like 1,000 years before baby Jesus was even thought of. We're going to talk, it's going to be a long time, and we're talking about 1200 to 1000 BCE. Now, I think everyone knows what BCE and AD and all that means, but I'll do a quick rundown. So right now we're in year 2025 AD. That just means after death, because people believe that Jesus was born around, like 0 to 6, So everything that, again, has to do with theology. Everything has to do with this book. Even just saying we're in year 2025 has to do with this one book, which means I think Christians won everything. Can we just say that, like, as the world?
Yeah. Whether we wanted them to or not, they did.
They truly won. Like, you guys truly won. Like, congratulations is that. I think that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But even the date, I mean, it's pretty amazing. So that long ago was when the oldest portions of the Bible were found, over 3,000 years ago, and that was Genesis, Exodus, and Judges. So
Okay.
those are long-ass stories. So these stories and laws that people follow still to this day were written over 3,000 years ago, but they weren't found and compiled until 400 BCE. So that was a long time. That means about 3,400 years that these papers were being compiled between people. A long time. So the Old Testament is the first division of the Christian Bible chronicles, I'm going to call them, because it's pretty much like 24 ancient writings that were found in different areas of the world compiled into one place. So when we talk about the Old Testament, it's not just Christian, it's not just Catholic, it's not just Jewish. There's literally stories from 39 Protestant stories, 46 Catholic stories, and multiple Orthodox Jewish wisdom pamphlets that are put into this book. It's literally, the Old Testament is a variation from writings from all different religions, including Muslim, Islam, all that put into one.
Damn.
So it's very beautiful in a way. It's pretty much all the histories that we ever had written down before a certain time, except America, because, you know, they just pretend we didn't exist.
Yeah.
They didn't exist till it was called America.
Yeah.
Over here, you know.
Until Christopher Columbus.
Christopher Columbus came here, and then it just exploded and became.
Yeah.
So scholars estimate that at least 40 different writers contributed to the New Testament, reflecting a wide range of like experiences and perspectives, but only 29 are actually recognized and considered prophets. Now, the initial 5 books of the Bible are made of what we call the Torah. So what the Jewish follows the Torah, they just follow only the first 5 stories of the Old Testament, unlike Christians where they follow the whole thing. So again, it's just a little bit more, we're going to go with the more ancient writings and just not add the extra stuff.
Sure.
So the first 5 is pretty much just like historical narratives and prophecies, and they were all written in only Hebrew originally, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So historically, both Jewish and Christian traditions have held both like high esteem to these texts, and they all contribute the authorship to this guy named Moses.
Okay.
So Moses is the one that wrote it. So let's talk about Moses, because his name's everywhere. I knew of Moses, but I didn't really know too much about the guy.
Yeah.
And I didn't know he was like the one that wrote the first 5. So
I couldn't tell you that either.
Oldest text, right?
Yeah.
So let's go into Moses. So according to Moses' teachings, and when I say Moses' teachings, I'm going to use a lot of air quotes because that's who everyone believes wrote these. So according to Moses, this was done during a period of time when him and his people, who are from Israel, what we know as Palestine today, were an enslaved minority. Now, these Jewish slaves were increasing in populations, which made the people in Egypt like worried. They're like, oh no, my slaves are having babies and we don't want to be overthrown. So the Egyptians were like, you know what? We're just going to kill all the people of Israel and then we don't have to worry about it. Now, a lot of this is going back to why, you know, you see a lot of war going on about, is it Palestine? Is it Israel? And people in Israel trying to take over Palestine. They're all connecting it, if you guys want to look in history, to this one writing by Moses, which is pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah.
So the Israelites, also known as the children of Israel, were an ancient people who inhabited that certain region, and they connected to like Palestine and Jordan. Some definitions also add Lebanon, southern Syria, and the Sinai Peninsula, and also Egypt. So there were 12 tribes. So right now, people are trying to take over that part. People are trying to say like, oh, if they get that, are they going to start going towards these other things? We don't know. I think it just depends on how you're going to interpret it. Everyone interprets their Torah, Bible, whatever differently, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So this racist Egyptian pharaoh ordered all newborn Hebrew boys to be killed in order to reduce the population. To protect her baby, Moses' mother secretly hid him in a bush on the Nile River. Now, in some good old soap opera fashion, because it is very soap opera.
Soapy.
It is. The pharaoh's daughter actually discovered the infant and adopted him. So he grew up as an Egyptian royal without anyone knowing. He's like, oh, that's that poor Jewish kid.
This is poor Jewish.
Yeah. So one day as an adult, Moses like snapped when he saw an Egyptian slave owner killing a Hebrew and killed him. That is when he had to flee. so he wasn't caught. And he ran to what today we know as West Asia, and he encountered an angel of the Lord. Now, you probably heard about the burning bush a lot. He was hearing these voices out of this burning bush and believing they were of God and the angels. So take that as you must.
Sure.
Now, Moses on this mountain was told by God that he needed to go back to Egypt and demand the release of all the Hebrews from slavery. Like, this is on you. You go out there. So Moses said that he could not, speak. He didn't have the education to speak, but God allowed Moses' brother Aaron to be his voice for him. So Moses and Aaron go down and are like, hey, Egyptians, stop killing the Jews. So around that time in the Bible, God put down 10 plagues to make, the people sick, to kill them, pretty much trying to stop the Egyptians from, killing Jews. You might have heard about this Seder, Passover Seder.
Yeah.
They created that day because of this. A lot of Jewish holidays is pretty much just celebrating times where they were freed from slavery. So during Passover Seder, they actually do prayers of plagues towards the Egyptians still for their sufferings.
Oh.
So go for you, Jews.
Sure. Yeah. Why
I mean,
not?
I know it was like 3,000 years ago, but fuck them.
Why not?
Yeah, love it. So after the 10 plagues, Moses led the exodus of the Israelites out of Egypt across the Red Sea for safety and landed on Mount Sinai. Now, I searched everywhere trying to guess where Mount Sinai is. It doesn't exist of what we know it today.
I think it's behind Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles.
It is. It might be. There are people that believe Jesus was American. So maybe you can start going that route. Whatever religion.
He was born in Hollywood.
Moses in Hollywood. He did have horns. People did describe him as having like horns at one point. So, it's fancy. So on the third morning of their encampment, the Bible says there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud that came up upon the mount. So the people assembled like, what the fuck's happening? That is when God himself came forward and spoke to Moses and his people. Now, that's some scholars that say it was God. Some scholars say that Moses just came out after 3 days of this mountain and like, hey, everyone, I got to tell you something. God talked to me. So it depends on what person you talk to with the translations.
Yeah.
Some also say that Moses was hanging out in this mountain for like 40 days alone and then just came back with this big stone of just like laws that everyone had to follow. Which we know today is the 10 Commandments.
The 10 Commandments.
The 10 Commandments. So let's talk about the 10 Commandments because this is like the main, and it doesn't matter if you're Christian, Jewish, or Muslim. They all follow this because they all follow the same word before they split off. So, I am thy God. Thou shalt not have no other gods before me. That's a rule. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. So like a lot of people, we can draw pictures of God, but Muslims really take this seriously. Like you're not allowed to draw a picture of God. Like they'll kill, there's some countries where you get killed if you even attempt to draw a picture of God. Shall not use the Lord's name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. So if you guys don't know what the Sabbath day is, that's the 7th day. So on Sunday, you're supposed to rest. Keep it holy. You're not supposed to do anything.
Keep it holy.
Keep it holy. Honor thy father and thy mother. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. So don't lie about your neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not desire thy neighbor's wife.
So which neighbor are we talking about?
Everybody. So when they say neighbor, that means like everybody. So the main things, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, all that connects. These are your main rules. These are the original written down history rules.
So I can't pick and choose which neighbor.
You can't.
Damn.
All thy neighbors. You can't take their wives. You can't come try to take their house. You can't do that. You can't take his slaves either, or his animals, or anything of his. No
All
slaves.
Right. All right.
Even if they have a cool one.
All right.
All right. And it ends with, you shall set up these stones, which I command you today, on Mount Argarizim. We don't know what that means. No historian knows what that means. It's just what it is.
Gesundheit.
So the story goes that after 40 more years of wandering the desert with these things, helping the slaves, getting them free, sharing these words of God, Moses died at the age of 120 years old on Mount Nebo, which we do know where that is. That's in Jordan.
That's a old ass dude.
Old ass dude. Now we can do a nonstop podcast of Moses because it's a huge story and everything like that. But we're here for the Bible. We're not here for Moses. But I want to give you a rundown of who we thought the original, at least 5 chapters of the Bibles were. Now, Jewish authors at the time of the first writings all came together and agreed Moses is a prophet. He truly heard the word of God. He truly got these commandments from God, making him the OG writer we know today. But many scholars disagree and thinks it's multiple authors. Whatever you believe, we'll just say Moses.
Whatever you believe, fuck you. We're just saying Moses.
Well, guys, all these writings were found in like different languages and different areas.
Yep.
So, like I said, take it what you may. So the first writings in the Bible is called Genesis. Is the first book of the Hebrew Bible in the Old Testament. It was written in approximately 1445 BC by Moses, even though he's never mentioned in it. Now, Genesis includes an account of creation of the world, the history of humanity and the origins of the Jewish people. The theological importance of Genesis is to create this is where we all started, and this is where our promised land is. Now, the Old Testaments are supposed to tell the entire history of the Jewish people until that time. Now, this timeline, according to scholars, is that God created Earth, what we're going to say from today, at about 6,000 years ago. So we're in evolution, we know dinosaurs, everything like that. Science is different. But we're going to say fuck science here. God created, according to Genesis, 6,000 years ago, our story.
Yep.
So now, even though the Bible doesn't follow evolution and science when it comes to creation of Earth, we are not descendants, according to the Bible, of apes. Dinosaurs didn't create, but there was there was dinosaur-like creatures in the Bible that we lived with at one time, including the behemoth.
The behemoth.
So there was a time.
Yeah.
There was a time. Now, even though we said Moses lived for a long time because he lived to 120, there's other people who have lived a lot longer. Adam, after his creation, lived to about 930. Many of their children and grandchildren of Moses lived into their 900s. The longest one in the Bible was, and I'm going to say this name wrong, but I love the name, Methuselah, who has been the oldest human to ever lived, who died at 969 years old.
Wow.
So the Bible's fun.
Those are some old folks.
Some old folks living there. So these old people were just living thousands of years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden when Jesus was born in the Bible, all of a sudden people just live normal age. Actually, they live kind of shorter. You got lucky in the Bible. If you lived to 30, 40, you started dying from plagues and shit.
Yeah.
So
kind of shorter than 969.
A little bit shorter.
Kind of shorter.
A little bit shorter. So we're talking before Christ. From 3095 to 3039 before Christ, during a 56 years period, due to the incredibly long lifespan of humans, there was a time when 9 generations of humans lived at the same time in the Bible, according to historians.
Yeah, that's insane.
Again, take it as you will.
Sure.
Now, most people have heard of Noah and Noah's Ark when God flooded the entire world because he was pissed. Noah didn't actually start building the ark until he was around 600 years old himself.
Ooh.
So Noah lived a life when he had to do this. And Noah lived, even after the ark, he built that, another 350 years.
Fuck.
So now, most people know Noah's story, one of the most popular stories in the Bible, but they don't mention that after the flood, Noah not only planted a vineyard, he got drunk and would pass out naked in his tent. And his kids would come and get embarrassed of him.
This is my favorite version of Noah.
Right? See, I'm going to tell you fun stories in the Bible that they don't tell you. They're this guy just built an ark trying to save. No. He's a little drunker with this little vineyard. So good for you, Noah. Good for you, Noah. Genesis also has the first mention of the devil, and that occurs in Genesis 3. And he comes into the Garden of Eden as a serpent. So that was the first mention ever of the Bible. So Genesis be wilding. So one of my favorite stories from Genesis is that when God created Adam, not Eve yet, she wasn't around, just Adam, God started creating all the animals on earth, the millions of animals, to find Adam a partner to be with. And Adam was like, I'm not attracted to any of these. He was kind of attracted to the sheep. I guess.
Okay.
But he decided, you know what? I don't want to fuck that sheep. So instead yeah, this is true, guys. So instead, God was like, you know what? Just name them all. So Adam is actually the one that named all the animals on earth at the time.
I have some questions.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Oh, you have questions? I thought you were going to ask me questions.
I have a lot of questions for Adam.
For Adam, yeah.
For Adam.
Well, you have to give Adam some credit. He wasn't into bestiality. They had to create another likeliness of him.
I get that. Yeah.
Except
that's
that
good.
sheep. Maybe that sheep is just
Maybe
like,
the
bah.
sheep. Yeah. I have questions about why he named certain things the way he did.
Yeah.
I'd like to see his process. I
I would
want to
like
be
to
a
see
fly
too.
on the wall when he
Right?
named some animals.
Especially because it's like millions. That's a lot of animals.
Because I'm sure he probably didn't like look at them and be like, okay, you're obviously a bear.
Yeah.
And you're, he probably had to think on some, like
did.
squatting in the bushes, taking a poo, and like,
I know.
muskrat.
Muskrat.
That's it. Its name is a muskrat.
Yeah. I don't know. And you have to realize this was done in different languages. Like Adam's story has been told in different languages and then changed in different ways. So who knows if maybe this is like, that was a name.
Yeah.
And they turned it into muskrat,
Alien language.
Who knows? So like I said, Genesis is super fun. I mean, 500-year-old Noah, building things and going out, taking, they think 16,000 to 1 million animals out on this small ship, because God was salty because people were not listening to him.
Yep.
So it's a good read. It also says that he created one man and one woman to start, right? And then those babies started having babies. And then angels started to come down and have babies with them. And there ended up
what?
Yes.
There was angel fucking going on?
There was angel and human fucking. And people were getting sick of fucking their sisters. And then that's when we started learning about like inbreeding and like reptilian shit. Like that's in the Bible. Like it's in reptilian. So one of the reasons that God flooded everything and told Noah, like, save everything, like you're one of the good ones, was pretty much God's doing.
Yeah.
Like you're the one that put these people here and done fucked up by not adding more people for genetics. So he got mad at his own scientific wrongs.
Wah, wah.
I know, God's wrath. Come on now. This is also when giants were starting to come, like in the Bible, which are called Nephilims. And God was like, these are a total abomination of this. But it's like, God, is your fault. Don't blame the giant. Like,
yeah, it ain't the giant's fault.
It's not the giant's fault, God. So in Genesis, there's this dude named Lot who was told 2 angels came to his house and was like, hey, can I stay here? And he's like, of course, come on in. That is when randomly a mob came to his house and I guess wanted to rape those 2 angels. And he's like, whoa. Mob of perverts.
Yes.
Don't rape these angels. I have 2 virgin daughters here. You can take them and do whatever you want to them. Just don't rape the 2 angels.
Ew.
Now, lots of stories in this are like that. And a lot of them are pretty terrible. But it is written that Lot's daughters get him drunk and then have sex with him. And then they get impregnated and then like blame him for it.
Oh.
So this is what I'm thinking about Lot. So what I'm thinking about Lot is if he did exist, I think he was just a perverted old man that gave his kids away and said he was doing it to protect other people. And then when they got pregnant with his baby, and he was like, it's their fault. And in the Bible, they blame his daughters for them getting pregnant with his baby. So, but people take this as like Lot's considered like a prophet. I think he's just a perverted, disgusting old man.
Yeah. I think you're probably right.
I think so too.
I would put my money on that.
Right? I'd love to hear from like if we do have any Christian people who are like really into Lot, like his story, let us know your thinking because that's how I read it, guys. I don't know. So Exodus came next in the 5 books. Now, Exodus records a story of God appointing Moses as the leader of Israel and everyone, and the one that has to rescue Israelites from Egypt and their slavery. Now, in the Old Testament, the Promised Land referred to a place in the Middle East where Hebrews are safe. And in the United States, we decided that was Israel, kind of here. Now, at that time in the Bible, the boundaries of the Promised Land, according to like the original written stories was the river of Egypt, the Nile, and that was mentioned in Exodus 23:31. Like if you're wondering like about the modern day Israel, the West Bank, all that, you can actually read in the Bible in Exodus 23:31, and it is kind of there, but it's also placed in Egypt, Syria, Saudi Arabia, and even Iraq.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Some Christians now, kind of the New Testament Christians, they say the promised land is not actually land. Like it's not God didn't promise you like Israel or Palestine or wherever you decide it is. The promised land is actually heaven.
That's what I imagined.
Yes. Which I would too. And even Jesus Christ really follows that teachings in there. Even though when we go into Jesus Christ's story a little bit later, he talks about it. He's like, oh, that's heaven. It's not land.
Yeah.
So again, it's how you interpret your Bible.
Sure.
Now, here's a little crazy thing about Exodus, though. A former professor of interpretation of Holy Scriptures at the University of Oxford named John Barton, who I love, we'll talk a lot about him, challenged the enslavement of the Hebrews by the Egyptians because this guy studied history, and in that time, he found no history even showing that happened. So he said there's no evidence of a great invasion by the Israelites under Joshua. The population doesn't seem to have changed during them, showing that people were having a genocide, and that there's no archaeological signs of this ever happening.
Yeah.
Which kind of challenged the Bibles a little bit.
I imagine.
So again, no, Exodus is wild too, just like Genesis. Like the Jews being super cool and surviving slavery, the Israelite population went from 70 people all the way up to several million in just like a couple hundred years.
Damn.
According to the Bible. Again, we don't have the history of that, but that's just what it says in there. Also in Exodus, Moses talks about how him and God's relationship wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. He talked about there was a time where God came down and was like, you got to start cutting penises, which we know of circumcision now. And Moses is like, you know what? I don't want to cut my penis. I don't want to cut my son's penis. Like, I'm not cool with that. But God told him, like, if you don't cut off this part of your son's dick, I'm going to kill you. So he still followed him after that. But Moses would actually, like, go and, like, complain to people. Like, he was just like, dude, you don't even know mine in God's conversation last week. He's trying to get me to cut off your dicks. Now we all have to cut off our dicks.
That's where I'd be like, whoa. Pump the brakes here.
Moses be wild. Now, the next one, the third one, is the book Leviticus, and the third book of the Torah, Old Testament. Now, most of its chapters, 1 through 7 and 11 through 27, pretty much just consists of God's speeches to Moses and telling Moses to repeat it to his people. It's mostly like ritual, legal, and moral practices rather than beliefs. Rituals are like your sin and guilt offerings, what you can bring to God, everything like that. So if you're looking for that, like what are the main rituals and beliefs we have to follow? This is the part of the Bible that is in. Now, it is a weird one because it is the part of the Bible that also people follow when it comes to when they're pretty much homophobic. This is the part of the Bible that people go to when it comes to that.
A little problematic.
It's a problematic area. It says that man shall not lay with man like he does with woman. Now, I have read and studied that over and over again, just trying to figure out, what it is. But I think a lot of people are just using it to be homophobic. It's just all it is. It talks about, like, people were fucking angels then and creating giants. I think we're just trying to stop some craziness. So it's interesting because that really is the only place in the Bible it really mentions anything like that. And there's even zilch on abortions. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to say it because this part of the Bible is where everything is. And also God, Jesus, and Moses, all of them came to agreements about sins. Every single sin is the same. You murder someone or you do this, that, or whatever. Every single sin is the same. So this is the part where the sins are listed. So I'm going to tell you guys my favorite sins.
Okay.
So if you're against gay people, especially, and listen, or anything that you're using for the abortions, whatever, these are the things you can't do also. And it's the same exact sin. Failing to include salt in offerings to God.
Shit.
So I'm
guilty.
If you're not bringing salt to church, because that's just as bad.
Yeah.
Drinking alcohol in holy places. That's weird because there's a lot of wine in churches now.
Yeah. Communion.
A lot of communion. eating or touching the carcass of flying insects with 4 legs, unless those legs have jointed.
Well, that's very specific.
So, like, if you have a fly and their leg isn't jointed and you kill them,
Going to hell.
and you're touching their carcass, especially if you touch their carcass. This is when a lot of people do wrong. So if you're doing this, you're sinning and you're going to hell if you believe all those other things. Going to church within 66 days after giving birth to a girl or 33 days after giving birth to a boy.
Oh, okay.
Eating fruit from a tree within 4 years of planting it and planting different seeds in the same field.
Interesting.
So those are all equal sins to any sins ever that you're connecting. And this is the place to find it. So if you ever, that's kind of a thing, or you're like, God, I wonder where God said this, or, what's right or wrong. And again, you can believe whatever you want to. This is a place in the Bible to go and find out some of those fun ones. So when it comes to people that try to use this book or whatever, condemn people, they're just not reading it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not reading it. So there's rules in these chapters Moses really wanted people to follow. Like, he's like, if you put 2 seeds in that field, I swear to God.
Put those peas next to the carrots.
Oh, I'm not about it.
Mm-mm.
So Moses, or God, was super into writing about cannibalism. If you're into that, which of course I am, this is also a part. One of the sayings in Leviticus, it was God's warning to Israel was that if they ever disobeyed any of these rules, he's going to make the famine so bad there, they're going to have to eat their children. And he did it to people.
Oh.
Like, if you didn't bring him fucking salt, I'm going to make it so you have to eat your kids.
Yeah.
So it's a good part. It's a good part.
Wow.
Old Testament's, it's fun.
It's wild.
So you wouldn't think it is, but it is, right?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Now you know why I like reading this stupid shit.
Yeah.
Now, Exodus goes into Moses telling the people how to treat their slaves. So if you're wondering, how do I treat my slaves today? This is it. Now, there are some verses the slave owners used to use, and this is where they used to find out, because it tells you how to take care of your slaves, how you can beat your slaves. You can beat them up to an inch of their lives and steal your property so you can't get in trouble. They said if you do end up killing that, though, you can get in a little bit trouble, but not much. Like, you're not going to go to jail for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, chapters 1 through 5 describe the various sacrifices from a sacrificer's point of view, although priests are essential for handling those chapters. Like, this is what they use for, like, exorcisms, or what do I need to do as a priest to follow? Mm-hmm. That's here.
Little handbook.
Yep. Chapter 6 through 7 go through much of the same ground, but from the same viewpoint of the priest. Chapters 11 through 15 instruct people on purity or cleanliness. So eating certain animals produces uncleanliness, as does giving birth. Certain skin diseases, not all, are unclean. Certain things as like cleaning your clothes from mildew, talks about different types of mildew. It talks about unusual bodily discharge, including female periods and also male gonorrhea. Mm-hmm. So if you're wondering about that, what does God say that? 11 through 15.
11 through 15.
Moses had a lot to say. Now, the 4th books, the book of Numbers, again, by Moses. Now, Numbers is the best preserved book of the Torah that's ever been found. Like, this is one of the first ones. The fragments of the scrolls were almost fully done back then. And this is found in like 6th century BC was when this was written. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
These verses are actually the earliest known artifacts to ever be found of the Bible. Now, most of the events of the book of Numbers takes place in the wilderness, primarily between the 2nd and 4th years of those wandering Israelites who are looking for, freedom.
Yeah.
Now, the first 25 chapters of this book chronicles the experiences of the first generation of Israel in that wilderness, and then goes into the 2nd generation. Numbers begin at Mount Sinai, where the people of Israel had received their laws and covenant from God. They came down, told them where their promised land was, and like, go in and take it. Now, when they arrive at the borders of this place, they had 12 spies go in to go check, see if we can go in there and try to take it, from our old owners. But then the spies came back and was like, they have spies too. We can't take it. That is when God gets pissed. Like, you were supposed to go in there and take it, and he kills all of them. Mm. Yeah. Mm. And then it goes into the next generation that had to carry out the task.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of God, like every generation, like killing his people for not taken this land that he wanted them to have, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, during this journey, the Jews are complaining about Moses and Aaron's authority, like, this bitch keeps trying to tell us what to do. There's actually parts where they rebelled against Moses for his act, and every time they rebelled against Moses, another time, God just like, I'm killing all the Jews again. So that's when he killed another 15,000 Jews. So I could probably do like a gigantic podcast on Numbers, because Numbers is literally like, God, this is the land, this is where you got to go. It's the most written stuff that we have about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ever wonder why many, not of course all, but many like Christian, Jewish, American, and Israeli political figures are very bent on taking certain parts, it's from writing that was done in 1400 BC.
BC.
Yeah. It was just a blueprint on who gets what land. You know, we're in America. This was not here yet, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
So the fifth book of the Bible, the fifth book of Torah, the New Testament, is called, I'm going to say this, and I even wrote it out, Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy.
Yes, thank you. I like to say it, Deuteronomy, because that's how
Deuteronomy.
I went to the thing and wrote it down. Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy.
One of my favorites, because it's really dark. Really only Catholics follow it nowadays.
I was going to say, I've heard it recited in funeral, like a Catholic funeral.
Yes.
Deuteronomy.
That's
the only reason I know the word.
Which is cool, because this is the only difference really between just regular Christians today and Catholics, is Catholics follow this one more chapter in the Bible that Christians do not.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then some Christians, it's not even in a lot of Bibles. Like, it's just they completely take it out and edit in, like, in the future.
Yeah.
So that's the main difference, really, between all of it. And it's actually where a lot of the best, darkest, coolest prophecies come from.
Really?
Yeah. So chapters 1 through 30 of the book consists of 3 sermons and speeches that were delivered from Moses to his people in the plains of Moab shortly before they enter the promised land. It also contains the 10 commandments. It's a fun one. There's a lot of super interesting ones in there. Like, you can't go to church if your testicles are damaged. Otherwise, they have to cut your penis off.
Oh.
Yep. Here, God also gives instructions on defecating, which he says to carefully cover up all your feces, which is great advice.
Cover it up.
Yeah, cover up that feces. Probably people getting sick during that time.
Ooh.
God was smart.
Yeah.
So over the centuries, the Torah has undergone various stagements of development, including like textual redactions. We kind of just talked about some.
Yeah.
Scholars believe that the different authors and editors contribute to the composition of the Torah, resulting in like a rich layer of history.
Mm-hmm.
Like, scholars like, it's even cooler that it's not just one guy named Moses. It's literally like 40 different texts from where they lived at the time and how they heard it, and you guys put it together like that. I think that is an agnostic woman, not someone who's believing that sees this as a book, is rad as hell.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Right? That's why I think the Bible is so cool. I don't read it as like the religion. I'm like, that is a cool history of books that they put together, especially the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Now, as the Israeli people journeying through history, their understanding of this divine teaching involved. The Torah, the first 5 books, originally was transmitted orally and eventually committed to writing. So all these stories we talked about, this was just people passing it on, game of telephone. Yep. This process allowed for the preservation of it and the sacred knowledge contained within the Torah. Through the years, there's things called scribes that would sit there and take these stories from their village and write it on scrolls. And even if they just messed up a little bit, they had to start the scroll over again. It would take these people like 5-7 years just to write a few stories. So when you find them, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's super amazing.
You found one?
Yeah. I found one. I would be so cool. No, they find them recently even.
Yeah.
Not some of the older ones, but it's cool.
Yeah.
But they might come out with an even older one. Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah. So over a 1,000-year period, these biblical texts were written on scrolls, copied by scribes, and like circulated throughout the community. The word Bible came from the Greek word biblica, which means books. So the more accurate description of the Bible is a collection of many books that were found within that 1,000-year period. So traditionally, Christian and Jews dated the earliest biblical text to Moses, which might have been between the second millennium. They're thinking 1500 to 1200 BC, approximately. Many scholars now claim that the earliest writings texts were done 8th to even 7th generation BCE, because they connect a lot of the ancient texts from the Bibles to other things that are found on walls and everything like that.
Yeah.
The earliest texts were actually written on scrolls made from a plant-based paper they were talking about, they also used to put it on animal skins. And they would burn the writing into there, and then just try to bring that to different, Hebrew places to try to teach the word of what they think and what they know.
Like they're like the hides.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's probably because I'm stoned. I had imagined them like burning stories into live animals and then having to like,
they're like, go on,
bring the animals with them everywhere.
Or they just put them out into the wild. Like people do Bibles now. Like people will go over to North Korea and try to like drone Bibles over to them. So, I mean, it's very similar. So only in the 2nd or 3rd century did scribes begin to write them on parchment paper and fold them and put them into like a codex, of which we know as like modern books. Now, after the invention of this, Christians tended to copy their scriptures into book forms, whereabout Jews traditionally just kept them on those long scrolls.
Sure.
Because Orthodox Jews, they're very traditional. They didn't start going on.
Scrolls are pretty badass.
And it is super badass. Yeah. They have so many cool ones. Like if you're super into this shit, like if you get into this after this, like if you look up like the museums and stuff where they actually hold a lot of these things, it's long ass, like huge rolls. And like the hides they have are like literally like leather bound that are like animals are just continuously sewed into each other.
Wow.
To make it. So it's
would be wild to see.
Especially when they're like thousands and thousands of years old.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. In the ancient areas of what we know as like the Near East, at this time is when biblical books were written and copied, and scribes did this work themselves and were known as like being one of the top jobs ever. Like they were like up there with like what we think of like NFL players today. We're like, oh, so cool, like millionaires.
Yeah.
They were our NFL players, were scribes back in the day, because they not only could read, write, take literature, put it together, they were also editors. They could take different scrolls and try to make them into one story, which we know today. So really a lot of what we know today, the first writings were scribes.
Because of scribes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
These really well-known people. Mm-hmm. So the biblical books had to be copied. You guys had to realize over and over again by these scribes, written down by hand to pass them out. And so it was usually like a community leader that would hold the book and then try to tell people about it. Now, this process of rewriting the books of the Bible was not always perfect. Like it's kind of fun to find like different ones that were kind of in the same area, because you can say like different words or this sentence was taken out or whatever. So
yeah.
Now, a list of books that was considered scripture for any particular group of people is called a canon. We're going to talk about canon a lot. So canon is like the Christian canon is mainly the New Testament, some of the Old Testament. The Jewish canon is the Torah. The Muslim canon is like the Torah, and then they had Allah, and it's the Quran later. So they just decided your canon is the books for your people that you decided this is the actual word of God over everything else. This is when that started coming. It's like a measuring stick for each person. Of course, the book of the Torah was seen for holy scripture for anyone that really had it, at least from the 2nd century BC. Wow. So Torah's old as fuck.
Yeah.
So during the transmission process, ancient editors occasionally use like logistic details or small sections of biblical books and really did make it their own, and added little things. So a lot of people who we talked about the Deuteronomy. A reason a lot of people don't like that or add it in is because so many people who had it made it their own. Yeah. And so a lot of people are like, that's not the word from God. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason.
That's the reason. Okay.
Yeah.
When you said made it their own, I was like, did they like dot their eyes with hearts? And
they're like... And a lot of them were dark as shit. That's where like the darkest, funnest, coolest stuff of the Bible comes, that a lot of people do some dark shit over.
Yeah.
But it's kind of there. And I think it's just like, how dark was the scribe in your area at that time?
Yeah.
So the reason I went so hard over the first 5 books is because those first 5 books in the Old Testament is really what started it all for most religions that we know today. But now it comprises of 39 to 66 different books in total, which include not only the history of the Jews, but poetry, prophecy, and forming a significant part of the Christian, Catholic, and Muslim canon. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until the 17th century that we received options past the first 5 books, and that someone other than Moses may have been the author, that people started questioning, like, I think this is a lot of people. Now, a limestone boulder was discovered embedded in a stone in the town of Tel Zayik, 35 miles southwest of Jerusalem in 2005. Again, I always apologize if I say that wrong. The boulder now is known as a Zayat stone and contains what many historians believe to be the earliest full Hebrew alphabet ever discovered, and that was dated in 1000 BC. Now, the Zayat stone itself is not in itself like the full Bible, but it gives us a glimpse of the language and how it was produced. They really use that to tell how old certain parts of the Bible is. Now, by tracking this like language down from centuries, it makes it so we can see there's really no logistic way that one person wrote all this, or it's all from one place, if that makes sense. But again, it's what you make of it. And again, we're talking about the Bible and how it's written.
Yeah.
So after the OG 5 books came in history, the next 12 books of the Old Testament, the historical books, came along and were found in the Jordan River. And this tells how God liberated the Jews and gave him land, that they promised him, the whole history of Israelites, pretty much.
Yep.
Now, the historical book of the Old Testament recorded 5 major events that focus on several dominant characters, including King David at the time. Now, you probably heard of King David. He has wrote a lot of his own Bibles. Don't get it confused with some King James that we'll talk about later. Now, these historical books are arranged in a rough, chronological order that tells God's dealings with people over many centuries. This book has been categorized by Christians as a historical book and is also based on the Greek version of the Hebrew Bible. Now, 4th century Christians believe Bishop of Alexandria was the first to label his collection of Bible books history. So, again, it just depends on who you're meeting at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know we talked about John Barton earlier and how he is a historian of the Bible in Oxford. We love him. He is a super cool dude. Watch YouTube videos if you're into this. What he says about this, and I will quote, "Some parts, such as the earliest chapters of Genesis, are myth or legend according to history. But parts such as Samuel, Kings, Ezra, and Nehemiah describes events probably known as the Israeli or Persian sources. So we can probably trust that these are written by possibly those people at that time. Now, from the 8th century BC onwards, the Old Testament does contain actual historical facts from there. But they do believe that the other ones, such as Moses taking slave Israelites out of there, was added on by Alexander."
Okay.
Yep. Now, Judges is the 7th book, and it's a great read. Maybe if you're weirdo like me, one of the most weirdest parts of the Bible, I think. Now, we talked about Lot and his virgin daughters, right? And that mob of rapists, this mob of rapists is like jerking off outside of his house, like, let's go. It happens again. Yes, it does. So in Judges, there's another big mob of pervs who are coming to look and have a thing for like gangbang. The mob goes to this house, and again, the host is like, you know what? Please don't rape us, but again, you can have my virgin daughter and have whatever you want. And the other one was like, hey, you can have sex with the sex worker also. Like, you can have both. The mob was actually like, that's kind of fucked up. We're not going to fuck your daughter. But we'll go abuse the prostitute all night, is what they said. And I'm saying prostitute, sex worker, but that's how they described it.
Sure.
So the next morning, she crawls to the doorstep and dies because they did terrible, terrible things to her. Then they took her body and chopped in the 12 pieces and sent it to the 12 tribes of Israel that were around this time. And this is supposed to be like, we believed in God so much, and this is what God told us we had to do. So Judges is wild.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, blaming women and raping them and blaming them for their things, but that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
After the 12 histories are the books of poetry. So if you're really into that, like poems, jobs, a lot of those things that you hear like singing in church comes at this part of the Old Testament.
Okay.
The poems has, and I know I'm saying that wrong.
Psalms.
Psalms.
I think it's with S.
Psalms.
Yeah, Psalms. Palm trees.
Psalms are a collection of 150 songs, prayers, and laments that express a full range of human emotions, mainly written by King David, who we talked about, that served as like this guy who was like, I make some cool, like songs and like poetry. No, he does. Like through history, there's whole books that this king was just like putting out of just like
dropping new.
He was dropping he was like Taylor Swift of the era.
Oh damn.
He was.
TSE.
And he put a lot of the good stuff in there.
Speaking of,
Yeah,
Taylor Swift released a new album.
she did.
I just, got to shout out to the Swifties that listen. It's been a while since I mentioned her.
You should say what happened. Maybe we can get our people out here who are listening to figure out this mystery that we have going on.
And
right
I got
now.
a text while we were recording. It was not Tessa. Somebody sent me the new Taylor Swift album, one of the first like early limited edition, only on sale for like 48-hour vinyl albums. And I can't figure out who did it.
Who did it?
And I've only given a few people my mailing address.
Yeah. And it came to my address, which I guess...
No, this is the one that came to my P.O. box.
Oh, this is your P.O. box
This is my P.O. box one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I, of course, got it for myself.
Yeah.
And then, I have this random album trying to figure it out.
That's so interesting.
I know.
Who did it? I'm wondering if it's one of you weirdos. I don't know if you would, but...
I have to check with one last person. I got to check with Kayla, but I don't know. I feel like, I don't think Kayla did it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Ryan. He was like, happy birthday.
That would be amazing.
Because I got it on his birthday.
Figure out who sent this album to you.
Sent it. Somebody's like, God damn it. It was me. It wasn't Ryan. It wasn't a fucking ghost.
It wasn't me. Not giving me the credit, the thank yous. Sorry, there's no name on it.
There's no name on
It's
it. There's
very,
nothing.
very sweet. There's no names
No
on it.
packing slip even. Nothing. So, yeah. Taylor Swift. If only she was in some psalms.
I know.
Creating some psalms.
Psalms. Well, I don't know if she'd have these beep bopping lyrics, because I got some good lyrics here. The Songs
Ooh.
of Solomon.
Got it.
That are some of my favorites to share with you guys.
Okay. Are you going to sing them?
I am. I don't know how they sing it in church.
Okay.
Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle.
What? What? Okay. Say it non-singing
Your
now.
two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle.
Are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm trying to think how people sing them in church. Like, your breasts are two fawns, twins of a gazelle.
I kind of went boy band with mine, didn't
You
I?
did.
I was like,
I'm trying to think of all the old people in church. Everybody sings with this churchy voice.
Okay, I'll try to do this. Your hair is like a flock of goats. And the last favorite
Wait,
one.
what does that mean?
My next favorite one.
Oh, wait, I need to process this one.
Your hair is like a flock of goats.
Of goats.
Goats.
Okay, flocks
Bah.
are typically birds also.
Yeah.
Your hair is like a flock of goats.
Your hair is like a flock of goats.
Is that is this supposed to be a compliment?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's in a song. Some
All
church,
right.
a song to sing in church.
Your hair is like a flock of goats. Okay, next.
All right, this is my favorite. Let's start again.
Okay.
Okay. Your navel is a rounded goblet.
They're doing,
Your navel is a rounded goblet. It's
they're
beautiful.
doing belly, what do they call those? Belly shots?
Yeah.
Belly, what do they call those? Shots? You're just
Shot.
doing body shots?
Navel
I
shot?
guess? Navel
Yeah.
shot?
Which are disgusting.
Sing it again.
Your
Your
navel
navel.
is a rounded goblet. Maybe it is. I think you got that one.
Yeah.
Does that mean we can all do shots? Like we're about God's doing
Let's
shots?
do it before
Navel
the end of the
shots.
episode. All right, let's sing
No.
it. Ready?
Your navel is a rounded goblet. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful songs, guys. Go check it
amazing.
out. It is.
We need to join church, so we should go start going to church just so we can sing with people.
Can we sing this jam? Can we do this one?
We put in be like, do you take requests?
Take requests. You're the not rounded goblet one.
No, I think
Flock of
your hair
goats.
is like a flock of goats is my favorite.
This shit was bops, though. This was their bops. This was their Taylor Swift. So much that has been written down. I love it.
Your hair is like a flock of goats.
Now, last but not least, in the book of the Old Testaments, we have the major and the minor prophets. There's stories that are called major and minor. It's just different writings that they found throughout history. And it's not by like, oh, this guy's more of a prophet than this one. It's just like, this one's a longer story. This one's a shorter story.
Okay.
So it's... You okay?
I said, okay. That was the first time I burp talked. You know how people can like burp alphabet or something? I said, okay. It was a burp. Okay.
I just can't get out of my head. Your navel
is a rounded goblet.
I gotta figure out what song that is. So, like I said, the last chapters are just messages from at the time that people were like, this is God talking to me. And then the people in the town are like, cool, we're going to write this down.
Yeah.
So that's these stories from God. Now, some of my favorite stories when it comes to prophets are ones like in Kings. Now, Kings talks about a prophet named Elisha. Now, Elisha was bald and had all these kids teasing them like, hey, bald bitch. Like, what the fuck's up with that? That's when Elisha called to God and was like, God's going to protect me. And God killed 42 kids right there. Miracles. So these prophets, these are fucking people, miracles. They're creating miracles, and that's why their story is written down. Another one is you got Ezekiel. Now, you got Ezekiel where God told him that he had to lay on his right side for 390 days, and then he had to lay on his left side for 40 days to prove you are a prophet. You're my man. Now, I feel bad for this guy because if that was God actually telling him, why is God going to make that man go through that hip pain like that? You know what I mean? But that's, Ezekiel had to share that story, and luckily we got it now. Ezekiel also is where you can find some fun stuff about aliens. He says he saw a flying object with wheels and side wheels, with glowing metal lightning, and creatures with 4 faces and wings. Yeah.
4 faces and wings?
4 faces and wings.
That's terrifying.
It is terrifying, right? So
Yeah.
even in the Bible, aliens, dude.
Yeah.
Now, in there, you also got Jonah, who said he stayed in the belly of a giant fish for 3 days and 3 nights.
Jonah and the whale. Isn't that a story?
It is. Also in Kings, they tell a story of 2 starving women who agreed to eat their starving children in order to survive. However, once they ate the first woman's child, the other woman's like, wait a second. Run and hide. Like, go protect yourself.
Yeah, I don't want to eat you.
And that wasn't
I
nice.
don't want that bitch to eat you
God
either.
didn't like that. God's about cannibalism.
Yeah.
God wants you to eat.
Child cannibalism.
Eat your children. Because he's going to make you if you're doing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know. And after you eat the one child, she's like, oh, I'm full. I guess I don't need to eat the other kid.
I
don't know.
need to eat my child.
Oh, oopsie. Another fun one in Kings was 2 women approached King Solomon with a tricky question about which one of them is the mother of his baby. His suggestion was to simply just cut the baby in half so that each kid, each woman would have a part of the baby. Now, the baby's life is eventually saved when the true mother reveals herself, but the whole thing in the Bible then was like, don't lie, or you'll end up getting your baby cut in half. It's good.
Man, he runs a tight ship.
He does. In the Old Testament, the loving God that we know today is very Christian, Jesus, New Testament, after Jesus comes, which we'll talk about. But the Old Testament shit, it's dark. That's why I like it the best. It's the most fucked up. The longest word in the Bible is also in Prophets. It's in Isaiah 8:3. I'm going to try to say it right. It's a good one. It's a name of Isaiah's son. Maher-shalal-ha-shabaz. It's a long-ass word. 18 letters.
Wow.
It's a big one in there.
That's a long name. What do you think his nickname was?
His nickname?
Mahashaba.
Baz.
Baz.
Hey, Baz.
Baz. It's a cool name.
Hey, Baz. So when did all these stories come together? Because I said we found a script here, we found a script here. When did they all come together? It was during the Babylonian exile. Now, the Babylonian exile was really a pivotal event in Jewish history. This happened between 598 to 538 BC, when thousands of Jews were forced apart from Judah to Babylon after its conquest by a Neo-Babylonian empire. This really reshaped Jewish history of what we know it now, because this is when everything started together. This is when their faith really came together. And another time in history where the Jews were slaves and had to be taken out. So, which another holiday comes from. So,
yeah,
that's why they have so many. They do have good holidays, though. I really do miss having the Jewish holidays they used to have.
Yeah.
But because I dated someone who was Jewish, I didn't just have Jewish holidays. But they had some bops. It was really fun.
Yeah.
It was I think it was just really nice for families to get together so much, and I think it kept everyone together. So
yeah, you
it's
can
really
say his name in front of me. It's okay.
Yeah, we'll say it. We'll say it, Ian. Thanks, Ian.
Everybody knows he hates me.
He hates her. You are the worst.
The worst.
The worst.
The worst.
Yeah, the worst.
Ian's hair looks like a flock of fucking goats.
Oh, damn. What if that means beauty? Oh, he does have a good set of hair. That's nice and thick still.
Yeah, as a set, both sets of hairs.
Both sets of hairs. It's looking good.
Heyo.
Heyo. So the reason this is such a big deal in Jewish culture is because this is when the kingdom of Judah fell. Because if you remember, the Jewish people went through slavery. They finally got out of it. God finally gave them their promised land. And this is when everything went. This is when temples were destroyed. And Jews really had to study in like secret and start worshiping in other places, you know, and they really started to come together and like, we have to get our stuff together because we're going to be split up. You know, we have to compile all this so that our Jewish traditions are not lost. And that's how the Old Testament was created. And that was between 400 BCE and 200 BCE. Most scholars agreeing that the final form of what we know as the Old Testament, all those writings were in 200 BCE, so before Christ.
Yep. Wow.
200 years before his. So that's a long history. That's the Old Testament in a quick, as I can do it, nutshell, which is a beautiful book. It's good.
Yeah.
It's fun. And again, it's beautiful for you to follow it. It's fucked up for you read other things. But there's some nice things in there, like don't kill your neighbor. I'm glad that's out there. I'm glad we learned how to cover our poop.
Yeah.
Very important things that...
Super important.
Yeah, if you think about like that, going to different places, like, hey, we discovered like our diseases are down.
Mm-hmm.
Or like we discovered like not to hurt someone because of this. I mean, some of that is actually pretty rad that they got that to each other to help each other.
Yeah.
So...
yeah.
It's an interesting book, right?
It is. It is.
I'm interested that people follow it all as one text because it is so many different cultures and texts from around the world. It's interesting that they decided like this is the one.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Cool.
So throughout the Old Testament, it's talked about that a Messiah that was not born yet would be born in the future, which people believe is Jesus. Because when Jesus was born is really when Christianity, as what we know it today, has changed. So let's talk a little bit about Jesus. So Jesus Nazareth was a
Jesus.
Hear my S
Jesus
of
of
Nazareth.
Nazareth.
Was a first century Jewish preacher and religious leader who is like the central figure of Christianity. We all know him. He is also a central figure in Islam, which is funny that a lot of
know him.
Yeah. So a lot of people believe or like, oh, Muslims are bad. Like when, you know, there's a lot of racists against that. It's like they're exactly the same and believe in Jesus. Very similar to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not to the extreme as you, but they believe it. Muslims just believe that the Bible is a revelation from God, but it was created by man. That's really what they see the First Testament as, where Christians take it, this is the word by God. Muslims are like, yeah, there's some good stories of people and some stories are true and some stories, but it was made by man. And that's when the Quran and stuff, which kind of separate everything, was they had another prophet who came in and was like, hey, put my stories just like Jesus did. Had some people, and that's how the Muslim religion, Islam, and all that even really started.
Yeah.
So it's all the same. It's all connected. I wish people would know that. It's connected. You don't hate yourself. You all love each other. You're all the same. I love that. So Jesus was born around 6 to 4 BC in Bethlehem in the Roman province of Judah. Judah today, if we know where it is, kind of, is in Israel or the West Bank, Palestine, pretty much. So there's no physical description of Jesus in the Bible. No one knows what he looks like, but I'm just going to say he was a first century Palestinian man. So whatever first century Palestinian man looks like is most likely probably very dark hair, very dark skin, not the Pope's hot son, which we learned in the Pope episode that we know of Jesus today is literally just a Pope's son, and he decided to make him look like that, but just a dark hair man. In Islam, Jesus is considered a major prophet born of a virgin who performed miracles. Muslims should just not believe that he was crucified and all that, and that he wasn't like, you know, with God. They think that story is all made up.
Yeah.
In Judaism, Jesus is viewed as a historical figure. Like, yeah, he was there. Yeah, his history is right, but he's just not a Messiah. He's not a divine part of God.
Yep.
Now, Christianity believes Jesus is the reincarnation of God, the Savior, and the Redeemer. Like, his life and teachings is what's based the New Testament on.
Yeah.
So like most prophets we've talked about, we could do a never-ending long podcast on Jesus alone. We know his story is huge. Maybe we will one day, maybe long future.
Maybe.
But since our topic is the Bible, we're going to talk to him according to what the New Testament and the Bible says.
If we do an episode on him, can the episode title be Jesus H. Christ?
Yes. Large H. Yes, we
Okay.
will.
Thank you.
Yep. Now, we are in a time now. So 200 years after the Old Testament has been around, everyone, especially the Jewish religion, they followed this. And again, so did the people who were Muslim at the time. So he was born at this very religious time where he was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when Jesus was around, he followed the Old Testament and he reinterpreted it to be a lot more focused on love, mercy, and spiritual depth. Now, he considerably talked about the Old Testament and like what Moses said, but he did it with a lot more moral and theological teachings. It was a lot more like, you're all going to die and go to hell type of deal,
Yeah.
which is why he decided that he says, I know I'm a chosen one and have to be tortured. But the whole thing was so we could sin was his story. So people could do bad things that maybe God says in the Bible, but he loves us, so he's not going to kill us. And Jesus is sacrificing himself to God so that we could do that, which is a lot more loving if you think about it.
Although I still don't understand the idea of sacrifice in that form.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's all about your morals.
It is.
So like, oh, okay, somebody sacrificed themselves for my sins, but like I'm still kind of shitty because I did the sin.
Yeah.
You
But as
know?
long as you say, like, according to Jesus's words himself, I guess people describe as Jesus' words, everyone's redeemable. Every single person, no matter what your sin, is redeemable. And he died so that it can be. Instead
that it
of
can be
like
redeemable.
God just deciding like, you didn't bring salt to the altar. You know, it was really Jesus trying to say like, everybody be good. Like a lot of his stories is about like people who were, street workers and people who were addicts and people who were stealing. He was taking these people, like the kings at the time were being dicks towards and like putting them all in like, you didn't follow this and you didn't follow that, and being like, no, we got to love all these people. So a lot of his following were all these just random weirdos, and a lot of people considered it a cult. It wasn't a religion. The Old Testament was already there. They thought like, who is this motherfucker reciting our religion, but being like, no, you got to love people instead. Like, we don't like that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty rad. I wish people who follow Jesus really knew that, because that's rad as hell.
Yeah.
That is. That's a hippy dippy shit. That's a lot different than what we see today. And it's really random.
Dippy shit.
Yeah. A lot of people are more Old Testament Christians, and I don't think they're realizing it's not Jesus. Jesus is like, no, man, I mean, there's some good stuff, but like God's changed. Like, and he died so it could change.
Yeah.
Like he literally, that was the point. He died so the Old Testament could be changed to be more loving.
Yeah.
So.
You know who would be a fun guest on this episode? Mark.
My husband?
No, my Mark.
I was about to say, my husband knows shit about anything religious, even though he went to church his whole life.
Mushroom man, Mark. He went to a Christian school for like 2 years.
Does he know stuff?
I imagine he does. He went to church he went to Bible camp a lot, like growing up. Like,
I'm so shocked by like, because again, I always talk about my husband. He literally grew up in church, like grew up multiple times a week, even in church.
Yeah.
Did everything, was involved. Even his friends were involved with the church. He knows nothing.
Well, I know why that is. We just talked about it yesterday at dinner.
He just doesn't pay attention.
He
He's just
tunes
dazed out.
He
He's
tunes
so-
everybody.
all the time. I feel like I said when I look at him, he just has this dumb ass face.
Just glazed over. He has no idea what's going on. He's just in his own little world.
Yeah, he is. Like, he is in his own brain, own little world at all times. And then I think about like someone like my grandmother, who literally in a Catholic boarding school she doesn't remember life before that, all the way until she was 15. But she could read she was everything. I'd be like, what is this? She like knew the exact spot and everything like that.
Yeah.
And she had that forever. Like, it never left her brain that much.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, and I would think Mark would be like that. I think anyone would be. But I don't think they teach the Bible like they used to.
Yeah.
Like, they usually go to like a priest or a priest or whatever you go to on Sunday, you listen to them, and that's kind of that thing that you believe that the Bible says. I think they do a lot less what like my grandmother did, where they put you in a room and here's your Bible and you have to sit there and fucking just study it.
Yeah.
So that could be a lot of it too.
Boring.
Boring. It can be boring. Like, I'm telling it kind of a fun way. But if you read it like that, which I do love the language and everything, but it is fun to learn the interpretations and what people think of interpretations. I really like that.
You should start your own Bible study group.
Should I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, it's not, it doesn't matter what religion you are. I don't think I'm thinking of it in that way. I'm thinking very factual and just fun.
Although I have to tell you, if you decide to create another podcast or replace this one,
I would never.
There already is a podcast called Girls Gone Bible.
I saw that. I know.
So taken.
Wah, wah. Well, actually, I loved researching the Bible, but I told Mark by the end of this, my brain hurt and I didn't want to do it anymore. So I'm going to be taking a breaky after this. I'll still be very interested in it, but
Girl Gone Dude. Aronomy.
So we know about Jesus' life now. Now, how did the New Testament become to be? It really didn't for a long time. Jesus' actual life was never written down until at least 50 years after his death. So this earliest Christians did not yet have a New Testament. They had the scriptures of Judaism, which people would write down about like this guy that died.
Yeah.
But the stories were just passed on by like preachers about this Jesus Christ who was preaching the Old Testament, but was also a fucking hippie. But they all liked it and they all loved that. They're like, this guy loves babies. He's like kissing babies. He's going to towns because he went for a long time traveling around. They're like, he's a traveling magician. He's doing miracles. It's amazing. Like
he wasn't tasting the babies. He was kissing the babies.
He was like, I just hear like a politician now. Like, here's a baby and kiss their forehead. Yeah.
Yeah.
How I'm picturing Jesus, but like way cooler.
Yeah. Yeah.
How's everyone? We should have a thing. How's everyone picture their Jesus in their head?
Yeah.
So I feel like everyone probably has a different picture of what a Jesus figure looks like in their head.
Yeah.
And that's how mine is. It's like a hippie magician with like just a case that he has like weird shit in that he's like, whoa, look what I can do. You know?
Yeah.
How do you picture your Jesus?
Mark.
More of the white Pope Jesus.
That's what everybody tells him. He looks like Jesus.
Yeah.
No, I think that whole image is burned in my head from our whitewashed. Yeah. The you've seen it on your grandma's wall forever, you know?
Well, yeah. Well, my Jesus in my head, even though he is that hippie, 100% the one that we know.
Like
kind
the
of thing.
side
Like I see him in robes with like long hair, super white, even though he's not a first century Palestinians weren't white, but just like whatever, man.
What if he looked like? What if he was so totally different? Like he looked like exactly like Aziz Ansari.
I'll show
and
you.
And talked like him and everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, he is like people loved him. He's like, hey, girl.
Now we need to see Aziz take on this role.
That would be great.
Oh my god!
All right, I'm gonna show you
drunk history version.
Yeah, first century Palestinian. So I'll post side by side, which everyone knows the pictures of Jesus. He's everywhere in everyone's lives, even if you don't want him there. He's like, whoa, here I am.
Yeah.
But this is what historians have put together, and I'll post it on our socials. Please follow our social check of what they do believe Jesus would look like.
Yeah.
Back then. So like first century Palestinian Jew.
I can see that. Absolutely.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So, and kind of like what they talked about, people looked, he had like the bigger jawline, just these bigger features. So that's most likely what Jesus, looked like.
I could get behind that.
Absolutely.
That's fact.
So guys, how this Bible came to be 50 years later comes from my favorite person, I think, in the Bible, who I've talked about in so many different podcasts that you guys probably didn't even realize it. This is when my man Paul comes in. Now, I talk a lot about Paul in our Pope episode.
Oh.
Paul is what's considered to be the first pope, who everyone calls the first pope, right? And my favorite person in the theological world, because his story is wild. Now, Paul, who many people know as Paul the Apostle, or Saint Paul, which we live by, actually was named Saul. He kind of gave himself the name Saint Paul, but his name was Saul. This is this dude named Saul. Now, the two main sources of information that give access to the earliest segments of Paul's life is his writing himself to the early Christian communities at the time. So, Paul, we'll call him, was likely born between the years of 5 BC and 5 AD in Rome, around what we know today as Turkey, but we don't know. We're guessing. I'm saying we're guessing because historical records say it in faith-based that this happened, but there's no proven documentation for this. But we do have proven documentation of his death. So he did exist, guys. Now, he was from a devout Jewish family based in the city of Taurus, which was made part of the Roman province of Syria by the time of Paul's adulthood. So as we talked a lot about in the Pope episode, this was a time when Rome wasn't doing too well. Now, Paul was apparently educated from boyhood in Jerusalem. It was not clear whether his family moved to Jerusalem from there because he had Greek and Jewish schooling at the time, which was very unknown. So Paul was a very smart man, and he was known to study under one of the top rabbis of the time named Gamaliel. Don't think it's Gabriel the angel if you're thinking that. It's Gamaliel, actual rabbi at the time.
Okay.
Now, if the stories he said are completely true, Paul is at least trilingual because his letters are excellent in Greek, Latin, Hebrew, and Aramaic. So this guy was like...
what was the last one?
Or Aramaic, sorry.
Aramaic.
So, Aramaic is really good sense. Now, Paul himself referred to being of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of the Hebrews. So as we talked about stories of the Old Testament, we talked about there were 12 main Jewish tribes. That's where everyone came from. These were the God's chosen people. He himself in this time was like, I am from this bloodline. That's how Jew this guy. This guy's like a top Jewish person.
Yep.
I'm a descendant of the original tribes of Judah.
Yep.
Judea. Paul hated the Christians. At the time, they were like a small fringe group of hippie weirdos who followed like the Old Testament, but were like lovey-dovey, said everyone should be good. They're like, there was this bro that died like 50 years ago, Jesus of Nazareth, going around preaching about love. And he was like, you guys are fucking crazy, to the point like he was like, these guys should be murdered. Like, they are crazy. Now, these Christians also stopped going to the temple at a time, which was a huge thing. Like, everyone went to temple.
Yeah.
And that also made it hate them. So now Paul, according to his writings, was a highly educated man and, highest of the highest rabbi you can be. Paul says that before he was converted, he persecuted the Christians beyond measure, especially the Jews who were believing in these stories of this guy named Jesus to him. And he thought they were a cult.
Yeah.
Like he said it, they are a cult.
Does feel a little cultish.
Yep. So how did Paul become the first pope? How did Paul become the leader of the Christians that we know today? So according to the account in the Acts of Apostle, it took place on the road to Damascus, where he reported having experienced a vision of Jesus. The account says he fell to the ground and heard a voice say to him, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? He said, Who are you, Lord? The reply, I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. After this, he was blind for 3 days and had to be led into Damascus by a hand that he could not see. During these 3 days, he took no food or water, and he spent his time in prayer to Jesus Christ. When he arrived to Damascus, Jesus restored his eyesight. That is when Paul said that he would give his life to Jesus Christ and get baptized. Now, after all this, that is when Paul said that he started receiving messages directly from Jesus Christ and God himself, and he began writing down these messages. Paul asserted that he received the gospel not from man, but directly by a revelation of Jesus Christ. He claimed almost total independence from his Jewish community. Remember, he was the top of. He's like, I am the descendant from the first 12. Mm-hmm. And now he's like, I love the Christians, and I am the head of them. Mm-hmm. And I am their one true prophet after Jesus Christ that can tell the word.
Okay.
So remember this, guys. Paul never met Jesus. Never even was near Jesus. Like, not living near them. Decades after his death, he's the first person who actually created, like, first words from Jesus.
Yeah. From
these hippies, he said, that he hated. But I love it. I love Paul's story.
I love Paul's story. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What do you think is right? Because it's Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So shouldn't they be called Christians?
Christians.
Or do you think everybody's got it wrong and it's Jesus Christ? Christians.
You think Christ?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it could be.
Jesus Christ. Could be.
It could be.
It makes more sense.
Yep. It really could be.
Start calling him Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Now, Paul, like this, too, regarded Jesus as Nazareth, like his teacher did, like a full false Messiah. This guy thought he was a rebel, a blasphemer, and he like justly thought like his crucifixion was justified. Like he was a part of the group like, that motherfucker, he did it wrong. He should have been crucified. He also took a prominent role in the persecution of a man named Stephen, who was like a Christian martyr and like delighted in his death. So this guy was originally murdering Christians, only believed in Jewish stuff, but now he was the part of the oversight committee of all of Christians.
Yeah.
He said.
Zip prophet.
Yeah. Now, many biblical scholars believe Paul really never had these visions of Jesus and was a con man who really just came and capitalized on these people at the time. That's what most historians I was finding who are not, you're just looking at this as words. I'm not saying that. Like I said, I'm not going against anyone's beliefs here, but we're talking about how the Bible was written.
Yep.
Many people, biblical scholars, hands down, was like, this guy he was there. We have historical records he existed. He was a main prosecutor of Christians at the time and was literally getting them murdered. And then all of a sudden he was taking their money and being the word for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was the first writer. So Paul started to place churches everywhere he could and tell stories of this man named Jesus Christ. It was not until about 50 AD when Paul's first writings started to come about in the book called First Thessalonians. I always said it wrong. Thessalonians. Thessalonians.
Thessalonians.
Yes.
Yeah, Thessalonians.
Now, when we hear evangelical Christians, what we know of what evangelical Christians are today, they're following Paul's footsteps because he was on a mission. I'm going to make and tell everyone I could about Christianity and convert them into my beliefs and this, what I'm hearing from Jesus.
Yeah.
He's the one that first started the first Christian churches that we know Christianity today. He's the one that traveled like all these places telling people about this. So evangelical Christians today, a lot of the times when you're with them, and maybe if you're not Christian, you might notice that and I've had people like this in my life that we've talked about who consider themselves evangelical Christians, and you can't have a conversation with them that doesn't lead back to them trying to convert you. That's just because in their beliefs, they're doing what Paul said everyone had to do, because that's what the evangelical Christians are supposed to do. They're supposed to be moving the word across the world to the one true Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So
Jesus H.
And Paul did a great job, obviously. Look at us talking about it. How many thousands of years later he was on his missions.
He's good at his job.
He's good at his job. So one of the most notable missions he did was Paul went to the Roman Empire to his synagogue on their day of Sabbath, like these Jewish people are praying. He introduced Jesus as a descendant of David from the Old Testament and brought, helping Jewish people released from slavery. He said that they did so good that they wanted him to come back to the synagogue the next Sunday and teach them some more about Jesus Christ. Now, both the Jews and God-fearing Gentiles invited them back that next Sabbath, but if you could imagine, that pissed off some Jewish people around in the kings that were, Jewish people. Like, you can't just come into our church and be like, what you said is the Old Testament or the Torah that we're learning. Like, you're coming in on Sundays and trying to get them out of there to go follow you for this Jesus guy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of messed up.
People don't like it.
No. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. So even historians debate the exact date or manner in which Paul died, but it is almost universally accepted that he was martyred. Now, based on historical events of this day, it is likely that Paul was beheaded by the Roman Emperor Nero. Given the political turmoil of the day, him fucking pissing a lot of people off, the wave of attacks all of a sudden started coming to the Christian community at the time, he most likely was murdered that way.
Sure.
So let's do a little call out to the Pope episode, because I don't know if you guys remember something that actually happened recently when it comes to Paul. Now, like I said, Paul is credited to be the first Pope, so he is like their biggest deal ever in a lot of churches. If you remember, in 2006, a body was found under the Church of St. Paul when they were just trying to clean up and do some renovations. Archaeologists drilled a tiny hole in the stone of this random coffin that was found and found traces of purple linen and cloth and fragments of bone, which are dated to the time of Paul's death. Archaeologists from the Vatican do say this is for sure Paul over 200 years later.
Yeah.
Which it might be.
Could be.
You know?
Yeah.
Because they built that church way, way later on, but they're like, this is where he died. So they would have been exact on. I mean, if the church was built on top of him and it was named after the dude.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
That's considering that they returned his dead body after he was murdered to his people?
Depends. You know, I think they just buried him in like where you died. Like, this is where you died. And he so happened to be in a nice coffin.
Yeah.
So at least they gave him that. But I guess they kind of did the same thing with Jesus. I mean, when Jesus was murdered, or however you want to say, when Jesus was murdered, they kind of just left him up there, and like the people that followed him took him down and like wrapped him in, you know, beautiful cloths and gave him stuff and put him in that cave. That was all Jesus. So they gave him back.
Threw him in the tomb.
Yeah. Maybe it's kind of what we did with like Osama bin Laden. Like when everyone killed Osama bin Laden, they gave him to his people because death at sea was kind of what they wanted. I think a lot of people was kind of respecting his people, even though he was a big dick.
Yeah.
Not saying Jesus wasn't a dick. We hear about him, but you know,
Yeah.
at least you give him that.
Yeah.
Now, by the end of the 1st century, the Roman Emperor Domitian began persecuting Christians again for the crime of atheism, disbelief, and non-participation in the state's cults of Rome at the time. Now, there were parts of the world we have recorded, like rulers, kings, emperor, whatever you considered were gods at the time, were recorded, and Jesus wasn't. This was all Paul saying this was happening and going in and making people, even the mythical stuff people was following at the time, and telling them they were wrong and getting people to change. Now, even though everyone was killed in Rome at the time, I found something kind of interesting about the Jews. The Jews were actually exempted from being murdered because Julius Caesar, who was rewarded like a service of Jewish mercenaries in the East, was like, you can kill everyone else for not believing we're gods, but we'll let the Jews be fine. They're good. Christians, though, kill them. Get that preaching and converting done. Now, the New Testament canon, which we talked about, where they started collecting everything, took shape over several centuries as early Christian communities recognized the writings of Paul and the men that followed him as actual, you know, missionary work of converting other people as real and prophets. The early believers gathered in local assemblies across the Mediterranean world, read, treasured, really loved the stories of Paul and thought them as actual words from God. Now, the New Testament was designed by editors, who sometimes we call redactors, who selected a number of his writings and Christian writings, formulating titles, arranging the books in specific patterns, and then publishing the collection the best that they could do. Now, while many of the New Testament books were already recognized widely as scripture, no official list was ever written down until 170 years after Jesus' death. So there was over 200 years that various churches and councils would come together and be like, okay, what'd you hear? What'd Paul say to you? But you have to realize there wasn't a telephone then. There wasn't newspapers.
Yeah.
The reason people did missionary work and traveled so much was because that's how you got the word about. So it was pretty much wherever Paul landed, we're to put all those stories together into one thing.
Yeah.
In the late 4th and early 5th century, the same New Testament books that we have today and recognize as the Word of God were both practiced then by Catholics and Protestants, and were finally like, these are the books we're going to do, and this is what we've decided. So about 4th, 5th century. Now, to keep it simple, by the end of the day, the Old Testament and the laws were Moses, and the New Testament is the gospel of Jesus and his followers. So that's how you can look at those two things.
Yep.
Now, let's do a quick rundown of this completed new book that truly runs like all of our lives, literally. So the Old Testament is a collection of 27 Christian texts, 4 Gospels, the Acts of Apostles, contributed to Paul, and then a book of Revelations, which is super cool because that's what you can get to hear about, like, all the revelations from the prophets. Now, the New Testament discusses the teachings of Jesus, as well as all the events within the centuries that led up past that, including the government struggles and the laws that we need to follow from now on. Now, the first Gospels of the New Testament really focuses on the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Now, the stories written according to Paul was that Jesus was a Jewish man, a rabbi, born at 4 BC in the region of Palestine. Now, according to him, Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, the Holy Trinity. 100 years before his birth, he could do all the prophecies and he was gain it. Now, Mary was a young virgin who was his mother and was visited by this angel named Gabriel while she was a virgin. The angel announced to Mary, "You're going to have a son. This is going to be God. who would be the Messiah one day. Now, Joseph, who was engaged to Mary, had full difficulty believing this. Like, wait a second, why are you pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
But that is when the angels also came to him in a dream and was like, yo, bro, don't worry. I got you. I'm the one that impregnated your girl.
Yo, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Got you.
Got you. So in the story, the Roman Empire conducted a census in the entire region, which required Joseph and Mary to return to their hometown. So Jesus had to be born in a stable in Bethlehem. Now, Joseph and Mary were visited by shepherds, wise men from the east, who came to see the King of the Jews and promised by, Holy Scriptures that this is the King of the Jews. Now, King Herod at the time, the Roman governor of Judea, learned of the prophecy announcing the birth of the new king of the Jews. Now, fearing popularity of this prophecy and like a rebellion that would come to the government, Herod then ordered all boys under the age of 2 to be killed. Like everyone, like, wait a second, there's this guy named Jesus born, kill all babies around. Now, upon hearing that Herod intended to kill Jesus, the couple fled to Egypt, where they lived until Herod died. When that happened, they returned to Nazareth, where Jesus grew up. And there's history of all this, which is pretty cool. So we know Jesus was born Jewish, both in, nationality, religion, all that. We learned that Joseph, his father, was in the carpentry and he just followed along with that. We learned that Jesus had brothers and sisters but never had kids or were married. That's all in the Bible. It was literally he was born and then all of a sudden he's a 30-year-old man. Well, we don't know much about him. We do know, according to his prophets, what they say is that as a teenager, he visited Jerusalem with his parents. He astonished like law teachers with like how intelligent and how smart he was when it came to the Old Testament. When Jesus was baptized, this is really when the beginning of the whole ministry began because baptisms weren't really a thing like they are now.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, he was born, and then all of a sudden it talks about Jesus in his 30s, how he had this extreme experience in the woods where he actually met the devil and was being tested for days and days. And the devil's like, you can go with me and then you're not going to have to be tortured when you get older and God doesn't love you. But if you know about the old, which we'll talk about Beelzebub in the future, like the devil just doesn't want to follow a hurtful God that's hurting people and everything like that. He's just trying to convince Jesus, like, you don't have to be hurt by this person. Like, come with me. You're not going to be tortured, everything like that. Some people can say it as like, he would have tortured Jesus. But me, I'm like, well, if you read the stories, it's kind of, I don't know. That's how I read it, but whatever. So the second step of his ministry was when he selected 12 disciples. So Jesus went out and handpicked 12 of his closest followers that came with him to go out and be like, we got to have a more loving God. This was all proven that a lot of these people existed also. While Jesus was going around talking to people that he was the Son of God and had people following him, he was supposedly doing miracles that are around. And so these are a lot of miracles in the Bible that Jesus did. It sounds like there's about 40. My favorites, though, of course, turning water into wine, walking on water. People around town are like, this guy was like going around with people who are deaf and blind and touching them and making them have their sight back. Other people were saying that he resurrected like at least 3 people from the dead.
Damn.
At least 3 people.
It's impressive.
Yeah. So with each miracle, Jesus attracted an even larger crowd, and this pissed off religious leaders at the time, and they began to conspire against him. That is when one of Jesus' 12 homies named Judas, who we always hear is a bad guy, was like, I'll give you Jesus. I'll put him at this place at this time, and he sold Jesus for 30 pieces of silver.
Oh.
Yeah. So right after, which of the picture we know is the Last Supper, is when they're all sitting together, and Jesus somehow already knew, like, oh, someone betrayed me and gave me over to the Romans and the Jews. But Jesus was still like, I'm gonna love all y'all. We're all good. I forgive you. And that is when Jesus also restored the hand of a high priest servant.
Restored the hand.
Yep. So around 30 to 33 AD, he was accused of blasphemy, and he was brought before the Roman governor who, pressured the crowd to order his crucifixion. Before being nailed to the cross, Jesus suffered brutal tortures, was beaten, and mocked for his crowns. So he's walking around town. They're like, you suck, Jesus. Like, they were purposely putting him on display. Then they led him to be crucified between 2 other criminals. It says on the books that Jesus, this was a man and this supposedly happened, that Jesus remained on this cross for 6 hours alive, enduring pain, mockery, and just extreme dehydration. Now, during the time, the soldiers put a sign on the top of there in 3 different writings saying, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, on there. And according to Gospel of John, it was written in 3 languages. So his last words, which are super sad, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. Woman, behold thy son, and behold thy mother. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Which is sad as hell, like having to suffer there for 6 hours. His last words, I thirst, begging for water. And he said, it is finished. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit.
And then lights out.
Multiple people wrote down that this is his last words. Now, after his death, which we talked about, Jesus was wrapped in that linen cloth, put in a large stone and closed. All of a sudden, on a 3rd day, an early Sunday morning, his friend Mary Magdalene and another Mary came to the tomb to say, we miss you, Jesus, and found it completely empty. Sitting on the rolled away stone was an angel of the Lord who told them not to be afraid because Jesus has risen. Now, as the woman left to tell the disciples, Jesus Christ met them and showed them this is me. My nails in my hands. Boom, miracle. Yep. Last miracle, mic drop, Jesus.
Zombie Jesus.
Yeah. So the next words in the New Testament, in the Acts of Apostles, the narrative of the apostles' ministry work and activity after Christ's death and resurrection. We talked a lot about it when it came to Paul and how he started his ministry decades after he died. But the Pauline letters are the 13 New Testament books that present Paul as a saint telling this. Now, these letters are written to Christian communities to specify cities, addresses, that they'll, just have everything going on. I actually had to look this up. So I have tons of Bibles over here, really old Bibles. I want to know, everyone's Bibles. All mine have pictures written out by Paul that Jesus was showing him was where he did his ministry work, which is very interesting. I didn't know there was full-on written maps in most Bibles, which is pretty cool.
It's interesting.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So that's that part of the Bible. The epistles to Hebrews is kind of the part where they talk about Jesus is the one everyone has to follow now. He is the anointed one. He is the superiority over all other religions. And everyone has to leave. And this is that part of the Bible in there. It's also my favorite, one of my favorite Bible verses is in this part of the Bible. I think it's so beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful writings. So this is 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. And you might have heard this one. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves.
It's true.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
It is. So the final book in the New Testament, it's one of my favorite in the New Testament, the book of Revelations. It is authored to be either by John the Apostle, one of the men at the time that would go with Paul and spread the messages, or from another John from this island. That's what they're it's one or the other, man. It's this really important John, or it's John from the island. Now, this book is believed to be written around 95 AD. Around the time of persecution for many Christians under Roman rule. It addresses the 7 churches of the Asia Minor, provides both encouragement and warnings to those facing hardships. Now, Revelations was among the last books accepted into the Christian biblical canon, and to the present day, some churches, in the Eastern area, actually took it out, which is weird because that was kind of where it originated. Yeah. But it's just one of those times where they're you know what? We're going to kick that one out.
Yeah, we don't really agree
so
with
if you don't see the book of Revelations in yours, it might be more of an Asian Christian-y copy from that area. Now, the book of Revelations is an apocalyptic theory. The main story is that every human kingdom, like Babylon, eventually becomes corrupt and oppressive. We should resist evil kingdoms by loving people and trusting that Jesus will not let evil go unchecked. He will return to remove evil from the world and make all things new, which is rad.
It's pretty rad.
And for some reason, why are you taking that out of there? Because you don't want your people to go against you? Because that's what Jesus would do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're taking that out of your Bible, it's usually by the kings. Just saying. Be good to each other.
Hint, hint. Wink,
Yep.
wink. Nudge, nudge.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. All right. Now, because we have no writings by actual Jesus, his story is mainly told by Paul here. And, props to the authors that tried. There's said to be 2 to 12 apostles that wrote in there. There's those 12 men that kind of followed Jesus at the time. And 2 of them, Matthew and John, are known to have written into there of the 12. So that's like firsthand more.
Yeah.
Everyone else was like a friend of a friend, like second, third from in there. So let's do some fun ones from like the OGs.
Yeah.
From the OGs that actually knew Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So Matthew is one of the 12 OGs and was believed to author the main work that Jesus said. He says that Jesus had the ability to drive out demons, speak in tongues, kicked up snakes, drink deadly poison without harm, and cure the sick by just touching them. He also claimed that Jesus said, if you follow me, you're going to do better magic than I ever did.
I was just going to say, that sounds like some witchy shit.
It is, because he was. Like I said, he was a magician. That's why people followed him. Like he was saying, Matthew said, I followed him because I literally seen him do these things.
Yeah. He's a wizard.
Yep. Luke, the other one of the OG 12, the only one that wrote in besides one before, that said after Jesus came back like as a zombie and he went to go say, hey, pals, I'm alive, none of them recognized him. Like he looked like a completely different bro. And I'm just like, but they're like, no, but he said like, hey, I'm Jesus. And he had the holes. So like we saw the holes fully in his hand.
Yeah.
But they're like the only ones that said they seen him. But he's like, he didn't look like him though.
Yeah.
And that was a main first person account, which I thought was pretty interesting.
It is.
Right?
Yeah. What do you think he looked like?
What do you think he looked like? What do you look like the white Jesus we know? He came back.
He went from Aziz.
He went Aziz, yeah. What I like about Matthew, though, is because Matthew, his friend that was there too, is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Not only that, he said Jesus not only came back, but he saw the graves behind Jesus start to rise up and all these people in other graves start to come out like this big zombie apocalypse situation.
Fuck.
Which is pretty rad.
Yeah.
That's first-hand account Jesus account, guys.
First-hand
Jesus account.
You heard
Matthew
it here.
slaps. Matthew does slap. Because this is where you get a lot of like end day stuff, like the apocalyptic, how we're all gonna die. In Matthew 24, Jesus gave him like a run-by-run crackdown of the last days. What's crazy about these is more than half of them have come true. Which I'm not saying it's real, but it's kind of scary. I'm going to skip around to some of them, just some of the more wild ones.
Yeah, it's like the OG Mothman prophecies.
Yeah, but then a lot of them have come true, actually. So one is if I'm connecting stories faith-wise to most likely like the rise of Great Britain and America in this one. So it talks about under one nation would be one leader of a group of nations and would become the greatest empire of the world. So that would be Great Britain. The other nation would become the wealthiest and the most powerful nation in the world. And that happened.
Yeah.
Because think about like the greatest empire, like how long have they been who they are? Another sign is the Jews returned to the land of Israel. So in 1916, during World War I, Great Britain and France made a secret treaty to divide the Middle East and create like an international zone of area where modern Israel would be. But it wasn't until after World War II, where there were so many displaced Jews, that they decided we're going to make that happen. And that's in the Bible, that the Jewish people who were taken out of their land would return to Israel.
Yeah.
Which is why you see a lot of what's going on today. The rise of false Christianity, cough, 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 was an end of day thing. He says, this is in Jesus' words, when Jesus taught his followers about the end of day, the very first thing he said was, watch out so that no one misleads you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and they will lead many astray. So many people think Jesus is worrying about a person who would come in and claim like he's the leader of everyone. But Jesus was making like it a lot bigger. Like, these people are going to come in, say they're followers of Christ, take over the government, not follow my words.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to see them as who they are, as a false king. What is happening in America right now when it comes to Christianity?
Sounds awfully familiar.
It does. And if you know our history, I mean, it's one of these things where our country was supposed to be very non-denominational with everything. And of course, there was Christians who were here and didn't do that. But yeah, they got someone who's the head of the government, who's like, I am the head of everything. And that's what Jesus said, sign of the end times. So another thing that kind of came true. Now, like I said, a lot of these things are happening. If you want to read more, there's so many more that you can even look like, how is this connected to what's going on now? Or is it being man-made done? Like, a lot of what's happening, these end of Bible things, we're making this to happen. Like, right now we're giving money to Israel for this to happen because that's what we believe. That's what, not we believe, but people who are reading the Bible are trying to interpret. So is these man-made things, or is it because they're actual prophecies that would have happened either way? Yeah. So if this all happened, this is all true, it's all prophet, Jesus Christ is real, now what happens? All this is coming here. Now what happens? So according to the prophets, Jesus Christ soon will appear in the sky. Everyone will see him, and everyone will hear this loud trumpet sound, like burr, 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 burr. And, like angels coming on the side of Jesus. We're all going to see him in the sky. I just see like two like really good saxophone playing like they play like a nice jazz solo.
I'm picturing the cantina music from Star Wars.
Right? Right. So at this time, Jesus will say, I am the king of earth. And everyone will have to immediately, accept him as king. People will not, though. Shortly after Christ appears in the skies, all these nations in the world who don't believe in him are going to come together and overthrow him, try to overthrow him. Huge armies will gather in northern Israel and march towards Jerusalem to like fight Jesus. I just like picture Jesus in the corner of a fighting ring with like his hands up like a boxer. Like all these governments. He's like, what, fuck, no? We're going? That's how I'm picturing my Jesus now. Now, big news. When this happens, guys, if this starts to happen, according to the Bible, don't fight Jesus, guys.
Don't fight him.
Don't fight him. And if you don't believe in him now, when you see him and be like, when he's in the sky, be like, okay, you're king, you won. Like, oh, it's right. Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do. And you go to heaven. No, you don't have to go through all these wars. He brings the true, like, believers of him immediately up in the air. You don't have to suffer. Yep. So if this happens, guys, if tomorrow you hear those trumpets, Jesus, everyone listen to Jesus. Yeah. My fave though in Revelations, which a lot of people again took out of the Bible, was that most of us are going to hell. The only people who aren't going to hell is about 144,000 Jews. Oh. So I mean, when he does do that, depending on what part of the Bibles you have in and out and what you believe, it might just be a few Jews that are going up, that are going to fly up, and you're going to have to go down here with the wars. Yeah. I'd be like, I don't want to fight you, Jesus. So that's
don't make me do this.
Don't make me do this, Jesus. So another fun fact that's actually connect to our last episode. So the Bible, Nicole, is filled with cryptids.
Super cryptids.
Filled with cryptids. They have a sea monster of terror and beauty. There's also the behemoth, a lot of the behemoth. Jobs, the guy who was like throwing his kids out to be raped, described this giant creature that grazes like an ox. Now, many scholars debate whether it symbolizes like an extinct dinosaur, like a mystical representation of just chaos. But the behemoth serves as a metaphor for humanity's ongoing struggle with creation, embodies both our fears and fascinations with the natural world. So he's saying, like, a lot of historians are like, it's fake, they're not real, it's just a story like Moses was. But again, science, bitches, I don't believe in that. Those are actual creatures. Yeah. There's also witchcraft and sorcery.
Whiffed.
Yeah. They're also fucking cherubs. The cute little fat angel babies that we know. But you know how modern time we take them as like love and they're sweet. But in the Bible, they're depicted as like little assholes. Like they go around and just mess with you, like menacing little cherub
Yeah, little
babies.
menaces.
But they're angels. It's not their fault. They're just babies. They're just young angels.
They're just babies.
They're just babies.
With arrows.
Yeah.
With weapons.
Yeah, that's what it is. But don't we not think of them that way?
Yeah.
I never knew. When I started reading about the cherubs of the Bible, I'm like, wait a second. You little naughties.
They would never.
Yeah. Now, since the Bible was handwritten for centuries before the printing press, few copies of the original All the Works are available. It wasn't until 383 AD when Pope Damascus, who we actually talked about before, brought together scholars and priests to create the new translation of the Bible and put it all together and switch it, not just from Hebrew, but into Latin so that more people can read it. It took Jerome 27 years to translate that entire Bible.
Damn.
27. Now, the Latin translation was the most common at the time. It's because it gave people that weren't only just of money and that knew this Hebrew language, these top people, but it taught the people in different countries where they were traveling, like these books, what they had. Because at the time, only scholars could read and understand it, which they still do in the Catholic religion. A lot of Catholics do this where they still believe you can only do Mass in Hebrew. So your whole entire Mass is in Hebrew. Even in small towns like this, sometimes you can go to Mass. It won't be in English. It will be in Hebrew because they don't want to like do the words wrong or anything like that. But at the same time, then a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah.
So you're trying to make it more easily accessible.
Sure.
Not just to the higher ups, I guess, that had to study it.
Yeah.
Now, reformers like our man Martin Luther, because we know our man Martin Luther, he translated again. He's the one that actually translated to the common language of his people, which was German.
Okay.
Yeah. An English version was not brought out until 1400 AD. So what we know the Bible today. The first printed edition of the Old Testament appeared in Hebrew in 1482 in Bologna, Italy. So they started coming around. They started to become more popular. Not just rich people.
Yep.
Now, the first published Greek New Testament emerged from Basil in March 1516. Now, he made different copies around then. There's 5 editions between 1516 all the way to 1535. And it's kind of fun because you can see people have put them next to each other, like the first manuscripts, and they'll just be like, again, one sentence off or like, one little thing. Or like sometimes you can see them where scribes write little side messages like, oh, I forgot to add this here.
Yeah.
But those were like the first main copies out that they were able to get out to people.
Yeah.
The Greek translation of these books is known as the Septuagint, which is the oldest known translation of any literature work and the most widely used translation of any ancient writing.
Wow.
So it's like the Bible is the book. To date, there are 647 manuscripts of this book and have been found, and only 190 contain a complete copy.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to write one.
Yeah, right? So even through these years, there are many different translations, like I said, everything like that. But how did it become now to the one we know where there are 6 billion copies sold? It is the most sold book, even the most stolen book of all time. It started with good old King James. Now, everyone, you can grab your Christian Bibles now. I bet you every single one says King James Bible. And if you have the other ones, it's fucking expensive because they just...
Interesting.
They're beautiful. So everyone you can see at the bottom, King James, King James, King James. This is the guy, and he was originally the king of Scotland.
Oh, Scotland.
He became king at just 13 months old. 13 months old, like a little baby king.
Did we talk about him?
We have.
Yeah.
We have talked about him a lot. Because
Yeah.
he had a lot to do because of he was pretty much the one that got not everyone to go Christian, but everyone to come back to the Christian faith when it came to kings.
Yeah.
And then the one that literally started the Bible so that every single person can read it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So as this boy king grew in stature and influence, his cousin, Queen Elizabeth of England, died. And so he was able to take over not only Scotland, but he became King James VI of Scotland, but he became King James I of England, and he also was King of Ireland. So if you're wondering how Christianity really became such the big religion it is now, it's the most highest, biggest religion there is, it's all because of this one king at this time. Some people died, and he became an emperor of a lot of places at once. You want to hear something crazy about the first person who got the first Bible written down?
I love a
Which
fun
is
fact.
my favorite thing about King James. Well-known homosexual.
Well known.
Well known. It is written through history. He ended up with a wife at some point. Didn't like her. He liked men.
Yeah.
He liked men. So
Sometimes
guys,
you do.
King James, who wrote the first Bible, well known in history, written down, was either bisexual, pans, whatever you want. Sounds
Yeah.
like he didn't like the ladies at all, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
is-
imagine that.
Pretty rad, right?
That sounds like it should be a banned book.
Right? Amazing. Some other fun things about James is he had a huge fascination with witchcraft. Like, he, like, studied it and got dark with it. He would, like, purposely, like, if there was, like, witch burnings, he would, like, go and, like, want to be part of the crowd. Like, this really rich king, like, in these, like, poor
Yeah.
areas, which is pretty crazy. He, like, personally supervised the torture of women. So maybe he just hated women. I don't know.
That could be it as well.
Yeah, either or. Now, during these times, the people he was king over were killing each other over religion, and even people in his royal family were being imprisoned because of religion. So James is really trying to figure out, how can I unite all my kingdoms under one king and one God? And that's when he came up with the idea. Now, a year into his reign as King of England, James put together the Hampton Court Conference of 1604. That is when he brought all these people together and was like, we're going to put all these Bible verses together and create the new Bible, which now we know as the New Testament Bible.
Got it.
So the group James set to do this with was a large task, and there's still these rooms today, and it was at Corpus Christi College. So you can go to this room where the New Testament was created. There was multiple committees, and it lasted 7 years just in peer reviews of how they were going to do this.
Sure.
In 1611, after 47 scholars took 7 years to create it and edits, King James came in and edited and made it how he want, it got printed. Shakespeare himself was also known to be one of the writers of the book.
Really?
Yes, scribes, I'm going to say. Let's say scribes. So he took all the most famous, like, literary people from around the world and put them, like, in rooms at this college, and, like, that's how they made it. So a lot of those beautiful writings in English that we know today, like even that one I told earlier that I love in Corinthians, that you people hear in marriages sometimes, I just love that.
Yeah.
That could have been Shakespeare himself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them weren't credited, because when you look at the Bible, it's credited to Paul said this, or Saul, But yeah, so kind of neat how it's put together. So
Interesting.
Shakespeare, that's why it's a lot. It sounds very Shakespearean.
Sure. Yeah. I can
Makes
get that.
sense.
It does. It does.
Yeah. So published in 1611, the King James Bible spread quickly throughout Europe. Because it was available to not only the wealthy, it was now available to everyone, even the poor people that were out there. Printing had already been invented, but they learned how to print hard copies rather cheap around this time. Whereabouts before, the Bible had just been the sole propriety of the church. Now everyone could own it, thanks to King James. And he also wrote it in English, unlike anything they saw before. Now, by the end of the day, the King James Version of the Bible is the most written Bible of all time, and it's credited to 40 different writers from different backgrounds. Backgrounds were kings, prophets, fishermen, doctors, shepherds, farmers, and priests. All these men are known to write independently of each other with absolutely no collaboration. All of it was stories from Europe, Asia, and Africa. That is the history of the New Testament.
Wow.
And the Old Testament, because he put both these bitches together into one. Very, very, it's a lot. Now, even though King James is kind of the end game of the Bible, let's say like the Bowser of the Bible you had to get, many different texts are still being found that just haven't been added, because how much of a pain in the ass would it be like, okay, everyone, the billions of people that have a Bible, we have to add these now. It just doesn't happen.
No.
His was the last for some reason, but it just was. So examples of this is actually a very recent discovery, the Dead Sea Scrolls. They were discovered, over 15,000 scrolls that they found between a 10-year period between 1946 and 1956, right near the West Bank of Palestine. Most of the manuscripts are written in Hebrew, with some in Greek. The Dead Sea Scrolls include the oldest surviving manuscripts of the entire Bible, believed to be over 2,000 years old. Okay. A little high right now. Yeah.
Just realized that you said Dead Sea Scrolls.
Dead Sea Scrolls.
I thought you said Disease Girls for the last minute, and I was trying to put together.
We call these scribe. We call this time in history, these writings, as the dead girl.
The Disease Girl.
The Disease
chapters.
Girl chapters. I don't know why they haven't added it. It's banging.
It sounded cool. It sounds pretty metal.
Yeah. Now, besides all these stories that just come out later, just weren't added, there's also been throughout the recent years 75 to maybe even hundreds of stories that were removed from the Bible before the New Testament was done.
Wow.
So some are hidden, still in the Vatican, that are in there. Some are in museums. You can actually go. A lot of them are owned by private collectors, like really, really rich people.
Yeah.
That own them.
Yeah.
It makes sense because I watched this documentary, and it was a documentary about this rich kid, like one of the richest kids. I don't know what family he's from. And he's showing I don't have to do anything in my life. And he's going and interviewing other rich kids. I think he interviews Ivanka Trump when she was a teenager and everything, just showing what are you going to do with your life because you don't have to do anything. And his dad, who also never had to do anything, he never held a job, lived in this huge mansion, just rich on rich on rich, insane family members. Yeah. The guy was just like, what do I do now, Dad? I want to make something in the world. I was like, oh, just collect. Because his dad was just collect. He sits there and just collects all these really rich people.
Yeah.
And
rare
that's
artifacts.
His whole entire life, because he has the money to do it, collect all these insanely rich artifacts. So people like that just have parts of the Bible that were either taken out, weren't added.
Chilling in their house.
Yeah. I respect the people that give them to museums, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah. But man, let's
be honest, you would love to secretly have a little part of it.
Oh my God, yeah. If I had the no, I'm not saying I'm not fuck these. I never said anything like that.
I wouldn't give it to it, but I respect the people that do give them to museums.
Wow. No, I would give them to a museum. I'm not saying because it's not that you don't own them. A lot of them are I'm owned by this, but I'm going to donate to the museum for this length of time. So a lot of the times when you see a lot of these old things, I'd be like, oh, it's going to be at the Science Museum or whatever, any museum from this year, it's because a private collector will donate it.
Rent it out.
Which is pretty cool. They do that with a lot of artwork too.
I was going to say donate it. So it's nonprofit, or do they
nonprofit?
Okay.
No,
so
it's
they
not.
Don't charge
it's
money.
Because you're just rich as fuck. You're just I want someone else to enjoy this beautiful piece that's 2,000 years old. And, that's part of our religious thing. A lot of it's in Israel. A lot of the museums in Israel are starting to put a lot of it together from private collectors.
Yeah.
It's pretty rad, I'll be honest.
But it's pretty cool.
It's pretty rad. Some that they didn't include, but I thought were pretty interesting to mention, was something called the Book of Adam and Eve. It's a collection of stories about Adam and Eve, including their life after the Garden of Eden. Because if you know in the Bible, it's just oh, she's an apple. It's very small amount.
Surface level, yeah.
Where this is this is what happened after all that. Another one was Bel and the Dragon, which was a story of a Babylonian god named Bel who had a dragon and was worshipped by all these people. And they just didn't we don't want to put a dragon in there and that people are worshiping this dragon lady. Because crazy, because that's what happens. Ladies get taken out a lot. Anything with ladies is usually stuff out of the Bible.
And dragons, apparently.
And dragons, I guess.
I don't see why dragons couldn't have been real.
I know, right?
Dinosaurs are ridiculously huge. And
there are a few dragons that are still kept in the Bible.
Yeah. I mean, why is it so ridiculous that a dragon couldn't be real?
I know. It's pretty cool.
It's like a unicorn.
It is.
It could be.
And especially if people take, because it depends on what type of person you are. Because if you're an Orthodox Jew and you believe in the first 5 stories that are kind of like that, you really believe this is the actual word of God. Where Christians now are these are stories that teach us a lesson. These are, this is to teach us not hurt our neighbor. At the end of the day, this, that, and the other. So it just really depends on what you think there, I guess.
Yeah, it's all up for interpretation.
It's interpretation. All right, so you ready for a super fun fact about when they started printing Bibles?
I fucking love a fun fact.
Okay. This is one of my favorite fun facts. In 1631, a publishing company published a Bible with the typo, "Thou shall commit adultery," instead of "shall not commit adultery." Only 9 of these books were ever printed.
9?
9 of these books, and it's called the Sinner's Bible. And you cannot find them, and I think these are ones that are possibly owned by some of those rich collectors.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
100%.
Because they exist. We know that 9 of them exist. And they weren't destroyed. But I was like looking around trying to find like, oh, what's the last sold one? Or so I went on like a deep dive a little too much for this fact.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find any of them. I'm like, that would be a fun one to have.
Yeah, it would.
Right? Sinner's Bible.
I would want that.
Right? So let's talk about sinning. You can't talk about sinning without talking about Basil Boss. I want a sweet guitar riff here every time I say Basil Boss. Like like a really rad, like heavy metal. Now, if you've been here through the years, you know, just like I already did in this episode, that I think the devil has a bad rap. You know, he is an ex-angel turned demon. You know, in the Bible, let's say this, God kills about 25 million people in the Bible. Satan only kills 60. And 10 God told Satan to kill. So I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Who's killed less people?
Yeah.
So if you want to go into Basil Boss stories more, which is pretty rad, go check out the prophets and their visions. That's around Isaiah and Ezekiel. I don't want to tell too much because, again, we're just talking about the Bible, and he needs his own podcast at one point, too. He needs his own episode because it's Basil Boss. But pretty much it's like prophets that are talking about him. It wasn't necessarily even Jesus or anything like he was, you know, devil came in, but it was just, it's mainly like the prophets talking about him. Mm-hmm. Now, we can't talk about Satan himself without talking about demons. Now, demons in the New Testament refer almost anything like malign spirit that takes possession, of like a human being, and occasionally animals. Mm-hmm. Sometimes does like physical and mental things to them. They're known as unclean spirits. Now, these unclean spirits are the kind of demons that Jesus spends like most of his ministry going around and like helping people. Mm-hmm. He was like the first like exorcist, if that makes sense. There wasn't really exorcisms like there is now, and Jesus was the one that went out. And it was told by Matthew and Luke, the two OGs that talked in the Bible.
Casting out
about
demons.
Yeah. So even though Matthew spoke a lot about them in the New Testament, we never learn where they came from. We never learn if they're actually from the devil. A lot of people just connect it to them. It's worth mentioning, though, that many of the church fathers believe them to be connected to fallen angels just like Satan. Like believe, oh, they're just like Satan where they pissed off God and then you have to become a demon and torture human beings from now on. Yeah. Is how the books. The other kind of demon that crops up a few times in the New Testament, mostly in Paul's letters and Revelation, appears to be a higher order. Like, for example, like there's different orders of how piece of shit you are when you die and care about God in heaven. Like the angels are the top ones. And that like sometimes there's like just angry little ones and you have to go torment. And there's actually like demons ones that worship Satan, even though they never say worship Satan in there. But that's what a lot of Christians or people believe they are doing. Yeah. Now, a little callback to our witch episode. Do you remember our girl named Lilith? The one witch in the Bible?
How could I forget Lilith?
Yeah. She pops up around here, too, as the mother of all demons, very connected to Satan. Her stories are also believed to not all be added to the Bible and might be in the Vatican also, or by some rich person. If you're a cool rich person, let us know if you got some random Bible stuff to show us.
Let us know.
Now, let's chat about America.
Yeah, let's.
America. Now, we're in America, Nicole. This country right now, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode, besides just loving this, is facing a crossroads we've never seen before in our country. You know, we believed when we were writing our stories, we wanted to be this melting pot of different beliefs and everything, and that our king or president or whatever you want to call wouldn't have a religion that ruled over people. But we are in a place where it is looking, where people want that. People want the Constitution changed, everything like that. And so how did that happen? I mean, in 200 years from the way Americans started, how did, you know, Christians really take over the country? And if you're a Christian, mad at me for saying that, you shouldn't be. You have to admit you won. Like if there's a winner's circle, you guys won. So how did we get here? Because really, 8 in 10 Americans agree that the Bible is either the literal word of God or inspired by God. 8 in 10. So we as a country also read this book the most. It's our book. According to Statistica, approximately 25% of people read the Bible in American culture. So that's a lot. 11% of Americans read it daily.
Wow.
So it's in 79% of our hotel rooms. Like, that's very known to America, where we have them in our hotel rooms.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been to a hotel where it's not been in the drawer.
Yeah. So how did it come here? How did we become like one of the first really, I mean, there's been Christian regimes before, but like, how are we becoming an even a one? We're becoming a Christian regime. We just are.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So how do we get here? The Mayflower, babies. The good old Mayflower. Now, the first Bible brought to America was on the Mayflower, the Geneva Bible, which was the first Bible brought to America in Plymouth in 1620. And also people believe possibly Jamestown in 1607. It was the King James Version that was printed later in 1611, which was starting to come here after all that because he was really pushing it. And he's like, you guys are going to America? He's like, throw some of those on that shit.
You got some room in there, baby?
You got some room in there, baby. Let's get that in there. Also in 1640, the first book printed in America, everybody, was a book by Stephen Day of Cambridge, Massachusetts, which was, their book of Psalms. In there, the Day Psalms was not only the first book printed in America, but was the first partial version of the Bible to be printed on this land.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
The first Bible, I just learned this and it blows my fucking mind. This is one of the biggest things if you guys take this from here, it blows my fucking mind. The first Bible of any sort to be published in America didn't come along until 1663, and it was called the Elliot Indian Bible. Now, Reverend John Elliot arrived in Massachusetts Bay in 1631 and spent the rest of his life dedicated to serving as a missionary person to the native people, earning him the apostle of the Indians. Elliot believed an indigenous population should read the Bible, and he spent the rest of his life translating it to their language. It is so interesting because that means the first Bible that was ever printed here fully was an indigenous writing.
Yeah, wow.
Indigenous language. It wasn't in English.
Yeah.
Which gives me goosebumps.
I would have
And it
never
was
guessed.
just to, here, follow this. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
So it is so interesting that the only history in the Bible comes from humans from like Africa, Europe, and Asia. And we're giving it to someone who has nothing to do with it, none of their history from it, and really being like, this is the one thing I want you to take from us. So it's very interesting. Another thing that I kind of wanted to point out was a lot of people believe that they use it in America and we became Christians was really just because it makes women have a different perspective of what you're supposed to do in life. Like they really they're trying to take women out of the households. Not out of the households, out of work. They're trying to, have women be really like, we're going to follow our husband only. Like we would do one household, follow our husband, and he has to follow God. So a lot of people believe that the reason this country became so focused on the Bible was so that women would go back to their, being repressed, repressed roots.
Yep.
Reason being also that people go to this is there's minimal women perspective in the Bible. There are 93 women who speak in the Bible, 49 who are named. And it sounds like a lot. It's 14,000 words, but that's only 1.1% of the Bible.
Yeah. It's just a blip.
The rest are men telling women what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that's one that they thought, here, because in our cultures here, in the native culture, women are really admired. They're kind of the heads out of everything. Unlike where I think other like religions, cultures, or whatever, there's a lot of men. It's like mother earth, mother's everything. And they didn't want that here because when they came here, like, men rule. We don't want our women to think differently. So that's why a lot of people think that was pushed a little bit, even if they didn't necessarily believe in Christianity. So So the first Bible in America to actually be published in English was printed in Germany by Christoph Sauer in 1743. So it was a while where it's only in native language.
Yeah.
Which, again, why we talked about. The first Bible in America to be published in the English language was actually printed in Germany by Christoph Sauer in 1743. He printed off 1,200 copies to bring here with his people who had the original Geneva. So let's talk about some more history in America when it comes to the Bible. The first recorded protest against slavery in colonial America was from the Quakers and the Mennonites. So our Amish people were the first ones like, wait a second, we're not doing this. And where people would take the Bible and say, well, this is where, it tells us how to treat our slaves. They quoted from Matthew 7:12 saying, there is a saying that we should do to all men, Lick as we will, be done to ourselves, mocking no difference of what generation, descent, or color they are. And this is saying we're to treat everyone equal. And that is when it really changed, where people started to see Christianity as more of like, okay, we're going to be okay with slaves, to where a country started to split, where a lot of people started to think differently.
Yeah.
And that was because of the Bible. And a lot of it, like, you're reading this wrong. Let's think of this different. And that was thankfully to our Amish people and our Quakers and our Mennonites, which I always say I do adore. I know there's a lot of, there could be like hate and cults and bad things too. But like what I'm saying is like the Amish people, even to this day, and Native Americans live very close to each other. And it's because it's just, we have a long history of protecting each other, and still to this day from different types of things. Like usually if there's anything when it comes to the Native people of, you know, the government breaking a law, the Amish people are usually like one of the first people there. And so that's pretty rad. And it started back then too, when it came to natives and our people. So it's pretty cool.
That is neat.
Now, past that dark shit, multiple fun facts throughout our history. The Bible has been on the moon, and there's still Bibles on the moon. So will there be Christian aliens at one point? So in 1971, a pilot named David Scott of Apollo 15 brought a Bible to the moon and left it there. But it was not the first Bible on the moon. There was a man on Apollo 14 that brought 100 microfilm Bibles up of the King James Version in these 1.5 square inch pieces of film. But he said he brought them all back.
We need a sinner's version up there.
Yeah. I would love to meet the aliens to find those.
Yeah.
In 2011, author Brendan Powell Smith published the Brick Bible, which contains recreation of Bible scenes, all with Lego bricks, which is super cool. The entire Bible in Legos. But Sam's Club banned the book because there was a lot of naughty imagery in there. Because we kind of went through some of that. Like, there's raping, there's cannibalism, like, you know, there's a lot of that. So I guess Sam's Club's like, oh, I don't want the truth in Bible Legos.
NSFW.
Yeah. In 2023, a Hebrew Bible named the Codex S1 became the most expensive Bible and the fourth most expensive book ever sold at auction, selling for $38.1 million.
Wow.
So why is it so special? This copy is over 1,000 years old and the oldest near-complete Hebrew Bible ever. So after the October 7th attack in Israel by Hamas, this person decided to donate it, actually, from New York to their museum there. So now it's at the Museum of Jewish People in Israel.
Wow.
After that.
Interesting.
Yeah. The world's smallest Bible can fit in the tip of a pen. Scientists etched 1.2 million letters on an Old Testament on a tiny silicone disc that they called the Nano Bible, which is this little lady. You can't even see. It's not even too big. It's like a little dot. Little dot.
That's insane.
The world's largest Bible is known to weigh 1,094 pounds.
1,000?
1,094.
Holy shit.
How cool would that be?
That's a huge bitch.
It's a huge bitch. Now, you're into numerology, you and your Swifties. The number 7 appears over 700 times in the Bible, often symbolizing perfection, completeness, or spiritual fulfillment. More weird number shit. The number 40 appears frequently in the Bible, often representing a period of testing, trial, or transformation.
Wow.
So, if you're connected to those numbers, maybe some numerology shit. As of today, the full Bible has been translated into 532 languages. It has been partially translated, though, into 2,883 languages. And today, the largest producer of Bibles is China, even though America were the ones that read it the most.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone loves the Bible today.
No.
You know, not everybody loves the Bible today. It is actually banned in many countries, including North Korea and Saudi Arabia. Somalia is actually ranked number 1 worst place to have a Bible. And if you have it, you could get killed.
Damn.
Bible access to Somalia is not just limited, it's outlawed by Sharia law. And like, even if you disperse them, if you just look at one, they're like, murder. Murder. Now, Afghanistan is actually the second. It has a population of 43 million people, but they actually do have a very small Christian community, if you believe it, at 0.02%.
Really?
Yeah. Many believe it's actually from a few people from Islam who maybe left and studied. Well, this is what they're saying, left and studied in like different places and came back, where now it's like people can't leave as much as they could. So it's like this fringe. But even of those 0.02%, they believe that only 1/3 of those Christians actually even hold a Bible, like have the book.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So now, is the Bible real, guys? It's on you guys. It's, it's completely faith-based, but there are some really cool things I tried to add in that showed of actual historical events that happened in the Bible. I'm going to say, look at science and historians. If you want to look at stories of 2025, there's still stuff that comes out of trying to prove, like, we found this stone or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, up to you. Most historians believe, like I said, Moses is, just a not true, but and a lot of Christians do believe that too, because there's no historical, archaeological.
Archaeological. That's a big one.
Yeah,
it's a big one.
It is, and it's just because they don't have the proof that the Jews were enslaved at this time and the 12 tribes had to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying you weren't. You were enslaved in so many other times.
Yeah.
Throughout life, but there's just no proof of that one. So most historians also accept that Jesus was crucified by the 5th governor of Judea, but debate persists, if the miracles, resurrection, all that jazz is true, especially because the people who said it was like, it wasn't him, but who knows? You all decide what you think. I hope not only do our agnostic listeners enjoy this, but I also hope our Christian, Jewish, Muslim, whatever you are, also enjoyed this, even if it was just some weird history into your book.
Yeah.
At the end, I do want to say my favorite quote of the Bible to end it with, and it's in Matthew 19, chapters 23 to 24. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Translation, rich people do not go to heaven. So for your rich politicians in our country and other countries that use this beautiful piece of literature to hurt each other, and it's usually the rich people, everyone go eat the rich, because that's what Jesus would have wanted.
Mic drop. That was just lovely. Thank you. I think that people from everywhere will get a lot out of this. I mean, we may have some hardcore Christians that come in and they're just like, you're being so disrespectful during this.
Well, I would say that, yes, but at the same time, I'm like, I just said what's in the book. I'm not making up anything. I might joke about it, but I think we can all joke. Like, even you, if you're a hardcore Christian, you're like, well, why wouldn't he give his virgin daughters to a mob of rapists? Like, I think we all can agree that there's some stuff in there that's you don't agree with. If you do, you're a fucking psycho. So then fuck off. I don't care if you like it. But I think most Christians, everyone in a belief can agree, like, this is what's written, and history is funny. It's a funny thing, which I love doing this. Like I said, I am not religious at all. I don't look at the teaching. I think there's some good. I think there's some crazy. I think there's some bad, but we can look at anything like that. I think of it as a beautiful book with so much history. I love that we keep finding old versions. I love that it somehow got to different places in all these continents in this small period of time. I love the history of Paul. I love that that's literally how the New Testament starts. This guy's like 50 years later, like, Andres. Like, I love his history. He pretty much did it all. And I love, like, is he a con? Like, what if he was the best con man of all time? Maybe he's not. Maybe he is like the first pope, and how cool would that be too? But I mean, how crazy if he wasn't, yo? Like, let's talk about how crazy that is. I don't know how Moses stuff, but there's no proof of Moses, but man, that would be fucking wild too, how he got 12 tribes to follow him. I don't know. I think it's cool. I want this episode to even think about bringing people together, because if all those things are so connected, I don't feel like people realize how connected their religions are and how we're all the same. And at one point, maybe you had a brother or sister that moved away from a land, one of your ancestors, and completely just changed the course of your beliefs by following one person or marrying one person or listening to one person's stories. Like, it's all the same. It all came from one place. And it's really beautiful, I think. How cool have a freaking book of stories of our history. It's neat.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah, guys. Hope
I'm
you like it.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
That was a beast to take on.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you did it in under 3 hours.
I know. I am very proud of myself.
I'm very proud.
I am.
Now, just because I'm me, and I have to say it, we are still experiencing a little bit of turbulence in our new setup and recording together and our new equipment. So you may have noticed a couple, I don't know, just iffy audio things on the last episode. But this episode, there were some major settings that were wrong for quite a while. So hopefully by the time you're listening to it, I cleaned it up as well as possible. But I have a feeling it's not going to be perfect. So we're just, working out the kinks.
Yeah. And I did my best. I might have stuff that's wrong, but I'm pretty sure I got everything right.
We don't come here for facts. Yeah. Remember?
You don't come here for facts. I'm not a historian. I'm just a weird girl. It's a weird podcast that found the Bible one of our weirdest things in the world, because it is.
It is weird. If I could sum it up, I'd say weird.
It's the weirdest.
It's the weirdest.
It is. It's one of the weirdest. It's like one of our top weirds.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
It makes us all do really weird things. That's in weird parts of our life. And pretty soon I'm gonna have to accept Jesus Christ as my savior, so I don't have the government kill me. So
yeah, everybody practice. Start memorizing.
Just practicing. Guys, I did an episode in the Bible, I swear.
Just start yelling out little things you remember from the episode, like but Deuteronomy, and get
that's
goats,
cool. That's cool, man.
Hair goats,
hair goats.
I'll give you my 2 daughters.
Oh man.
Well, that was wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right, and let's hear you guys' picture of Jesus and. Bye.
Oh, bye.
Oh, no, bye.
Yeah, bye.
Until next time, this has been Nicole and Denny with Girls Gone Weird.
Girls gone weird. Girls gone weird.